hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, students record slight improvement in language arts, mathematics and science in this year's PEP exams.
And a number of schools listed as underperforming have shown improvement in the PEP results.
Every school that is deemed to be underperforming can perform, and that's what this says. The interventions have been good. We'll continue to work with those schools.
Bill setting mandatory minimum penalties for murder unanimously passed in the Senate.
Bermuda police chief endorses the work being done to reduce crime and violence in Jamaica.
More than 70% of motorcyclists involved in road crashes were not wearing helmets.
In news from the rest of the world, Haitian ex-mayor gets 9 years in U.S. prison for visa fraud tied to political violence.
Iran says it will consider diplomacy when Israel's aggression stops.
In headline sports, another defeat for West Indies women as South Africa takes lead in T20 International Series.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, PEP results are out and the percentage of primary school students proficient at mathematics has doubled. The Deputy Chief Education Officer in charge of exam and assessments, Maria Ho Young, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask boiled fry or fried dumplings. Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, we bring you a paid broadcast of the debate in the upper house where government senators expressed strong support for three bills which will significantly increase the punishment for convicted murderers.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, June 20, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. There's been a marginal improvement in 3 of the 4 subject areas in the primary exit profile PEP examinations when compared to last year's sitting. That's according to the Education Minister, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon. Students recorded improvements in language arts, mathematics, and science, while showing a slight decline in social studies. The minister published the results at a media briefing at her Heroes Circle offices today. Norgay Banton has the details.
The Education Minister says there's been a notable improvement in the academic ability of the students who sat the Grade 6 PEP exam this year. There's been a slight increase across all subject areas.
For mathematics, it was a 2% increase over last year. Percentage points, I should say. And for language arts, it was 3 percentage points over last year. So if you look at language arts, we're 69% this year. And so last year would have been at 66% of students being proficient and highly proficient. And for maths, we improved by 2 percentage points.
More than half of this year's cohort achieved proficiency in mathematics. That's up from 27% who achieved a similar ranking in the Grade 4 sitting.
By Grade 6, with all of the interventions, 56% of them were at the proficient level. And then 7% were at the highly proficient level. And so those are some encouraging numbers. Are they where we want to be? No. We have more work to do. But what it says is that the interventions, the work being done by the schools, is paying off. And we can see with a challenging cohort, we're seeing progress being made. which means that what we're doing is right. We just need to intensify it and do more of it. And I have to thank the teachers for this improvement in mathematics.
34% of students were graded as developing in math, while those deemed beginners in the subject fell by 3%. In language arts, those considered proficient doubled in 2 years, rising from 34% in grade 4 to 67% in the grade 6 sitting.
Interventions happened. And then you can see that by the time they did the grade 5 test, the numbers increased. So you only had 34% that were proficient in grade 4. But by grade 5, 56.6% of our students were now proficient at the language arts level. Our teachers didn't stop. They continued working with the students. And by grade 6, 67% of our students were at the proficient level.
2% of students were considered highly proficient in language arts, while 23% of them were graded as developing. 8% of students were in the beginner category. Minister Maurice Dixon described the performances in social studies and science as flat, but she noted that fewer students in those subjects were graded as beginners. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
And just a correction, the students who sat math and were deemed as beginners fell to 3%.
Meanwhile, Dr. Maurice Dixon is welcoming the fact that a number of schools that were listed as underperforming have shown improvement in this year's PEP results. Those underperforming schools were designated critical level classification. Primary schools are deemed to be at the critical level when 75% of their students are at the developing or beginning level in PEP exams. This year, 6 of the 26 schools previously deemed critical in language arts achieved 100% proficiency in the subject. Similarly, 6 of the 40 schools previously deemed critical in mathematics were able to record 100% proficiency in the area. The minister credits the National School Learning and Intervention Plan for success.
But what this shows is that with the right interventions, and the ministry has been intervening in these schools, when you go into many of these primary schools, and I've seen it, you are seeing specialist teachers, and that's making a difference. So you go into some schools and you see the class has 2 teachers. You have one teacher who is teaching science and who's teaching mathematics. And then you have another teacher who is teaching language arts and social studies. What it means is that you are able to get the specialized expertise teaching in their proficient area instead of one teacher teaching everything. And that is proving to be successful in the schools.
Dr. Maurice Dixon says the success of the program shows that students are not beyond saving.
The good news is it can happen. Every school that is deemed to be underperforming can perform. And that's what this says. And so the interventions have been good. We'll continue to work with those schools because you want them to move from proficient to highly proficient as best as possible. And you want the momentum to continue. So we'll continue to work with them. And those who weren't able to get those results, we'll continue to work with them.
Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Education Minister.
And President of the National Parent-Teacher Association of Jamaica, the NPTAJ, Stuart Jacobs, is welcoming this year's PEP results.
It shows that the system has worked to some great degree. Our teachers were well prepared in preparing our children, and the children went into the exams very confident. And going to some of the primary schools and prep schools today, I could observe that there was more contentment in the disbursement of the results this year when compared to the other periods.
Almost 90% of students who sat this year's exam were placed at their school of choice. In mathematics, 56% of students achieved proficiency, while 2% were highly proficient. For language arts, 67% were proficient and 7% were graded as highly proficient. Mr. Jacobs believes the results will help boost the performance level of students as they transition to high school.
I'm sure that the Ministry of Education and their expertise will look at the exams and tweak it as best, but to ensure that our children leaving primary school are better prepared for secondary school. And I think that's what the PEP exam has done. It has certainly prepared our children for secondary school.
Stuart Jacobs, president of the NPTAJ.
The Senate has unanimously passed a bill setting mandatory minimum penalties for murder, despite several concerns raised by the opposition PNP. On Friday, the Upper House concluded a lengthy and spirited debate on amendments to the Offences Against the Person Act, the Criminal Justice Administration Act, and the Child Care and Protection Act. While the government came out in full support of the legislation, opposition senators decried the interference with the country's judiciary. The opposition senators ultimately did not stand in the way of its passing. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Under the new legislation, the mandatory minimum penalty proposed for non-capital murder is 30 years. The term of years to be deemed as life imprisonment will be moved from 30 years to 50 years, where the offence committed is capital murder. The bills are the result of extensive consultation through the Joint Select Committee process, convened from as far back as 2023. Opposition Senator Lambert Brown argued against the use of mandatory minimums as part of his debate contribution.
I'm not a supporter of mandatory sentences because I believe circumstances alter cases. There are others who may be willing to support it, willing to give it a try. I'm not.
Leader of opposition business in the Senate, Peter Bunting, also voiced misgivings about the use of mandatory minimums.
Far too often, it's the young men from marginalized communities, many first-time offenders, many coerced or manipulated, who find themselves serving lengthy prison terms under laws that make no distinction between a gang leader and a frightened, unemployed youth coerced to hold a bag or be a courier. Our judges, men and women with years of training and the benefit of hearing the full circumstances of each case, have their hands tied. They are unable to exercise discretion or show mercy where the facts and fairness would demand it. And so there is a risk of this approach of mandatory minimum sentences turning our justice system into a machine, mechanical, unforgiving, and blind to context.
But Government Senator Charles Sinclair, in supporting the bill, says the government will utilize the legislation to build on the successes already reaped in combating the scourge of murders.
As set out in the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons, this administration appreciates that crime, particularly murder, has an adverse impact on domestic safety and security, with reputational damage to Jamaica and the country's gross domestic product. Mr. President, positive results and improved statistics count for something. The travel advisory has been relaxed, so that is an improvement because of the improvements made by this administration.
And Leader of Government Business, Kamina Johnson-Smith, says the opposition's concerns have already been addressed through other measures.
There is nothing that has been raised that would not be addressed either by the appellate court in the concerns about the strength of the sentences, if there's a sentiment that they are improperly imposed, or the Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act, which is not excluded by any provision that is put before us today. So that accused persons who feel that they are in a position to share information, to help in the solution of crimes, including and to make the work of the prosecution a little clearer, clear the path for it, they are able to negotiate under the Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act.
The bill passed unanimously with 2 amendments. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision, including diabetes, hypertension, and some cancers. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
Get on the rum with Appleton Estate this month. Dive into the history, craftsmanship, and experience a taste of Jamaican excellence. Indulge in your favorite Appleton Estate cocktails and food pairings available at participating restaurants. Or receive a complimentary Appleton 8-year-old Reserve 200 ml when you purchase a bottle of Appleton Estate's Signature Blend 750 ml while stocks last at participating outlets. Appleton Estate. Land on the extraordinary. Follow us at Appleton Estate JA to get on the rum. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Continuing the news, President of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police, Darren Simmons, has offered a ringing endorsement of the work being done to reduce crime and violence in Jamaica. He's described it as the envy of the Caribbean region.
While our region grapples with rising violence, Jamaica has forged a new path. The numbers don't just speak. They shout about what is possible. A 44% reduction in murders, a 20% reduction in major crimes. The first quarter of 2025 recorded the lowest major crime figures in more than 25 years. And in May 2025, traditionally one of the most deadliest months, it has become the second lowest in over 2 decades. These changes are the envy of every Caribbean nation.
Commissioner Simmons, who leads the police force in Bermuda, says the reductions should be celebrated. He commended the government for what he described as an investment in excellence. Commissioner Simmons urged regional counterparts to use Jamaica as an example in their efforts to fight crime.
Jamaica just hasn't improved. You've transformed the definition of what well-led, sufficiently funded Caribbean police force can achieve. JCF didn't achieve this through enforcement alone. They have also built trust by focusing on people, quality, and technology. By recognizing that 21st century policing requires 21st century thinking. That partnership approach is the future of policing in the Caribbean. We stand at a crossroads. We can let criminal networks define our future, or we can follow Jamaica's lead and transform our region into the safe, prosperous, just society that our ancestors dreamed of.
Darren Simmons, president of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police. He was speaking at the JCF's Expo 2.0 at the National Arena yesterday.
More than 70% of motorcyclists involved in road crashes were not wearing helmets. The head of the JCF's Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch PSTEB, ACP Dr. Gary Mackenzie, made the revelation on Friday.
We have been plagued over many years as it relates to challenges with motorcyclists and pillion riders not wearing helmets. The following facts, of course, emphasize the challenges that we have had. For the past 5 years in particular, over 100 persons who travel on motorcycles have been killed in road deaths, and numerous other persons have been injured. When we check our investigations, we recognize that there was no evidence that over 70% of the drivers of motorcycles were wearing helmets when they crash.
He was speaking at the signing ceremony for a Memorandum of Understanding on Global Road Safety. As of June 20, 2025, 177 lives have been lost to road crashes, resulting from 160 fatal collisions. This is according to the Island Traffic Authority's daily crash report. Motorcyclists, pedestrians, and private motor vehicle drivers were the top 3 road user categories with the highest number of recorded fatalities. Motorcyclists account for a third of the total figure, with over 20% of fatalities since the start of the year. ACP Mackenzie says research has revealed that helmets can reduce head injuries by over 60%.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute
A former Haitian mayor convicted of lying about his valid pass on his U.S. visa application was sentenced on Friday to 9 years in prison and 3 years of supervision. Jean Villano was a mayor in Haiti from December 2006 until February 2010. He was convicted of 3 counts of visa fraud in March. Prosecutors in the federal court in Boston argued that he illegally obtained a green card, allowing him to reside in the U.S. by concealing his role in a brutal campaign to kill and torture his political opponents. In 2007, he was accused of leading a group of his allies to the home of a political opponent, where he and his associates shot and killed the opponent's younger brother, then smashed his skull with a rock. U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, in a statement, says the sentence brings a measure of justice for the lives he shattered and sends a clear message that the United States will not be a safe haven for human rights abusers. After serving his sentence, Villano will be subject to deportation proceedings.
Iran says it will not resume talks over its nuclear program while under attack. The comments from Iran's foreign minister comes just hours after Israel's defense minister warned of prolonged conflict against the Islamic Republic. Abbas Arahi met with European diplomats in Geneva on Friday. They urged him to revive diplomatic efforts with the U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program. But he said Iran was ready to consider diplomacy only once Israel's aggression stopped. Arahi went on to say that Iran's nuclear program was peaceful and that Israel's attacks on it are a violation of international law. He added that Iran will continue to exercise its legitimate right of self-defense. The two countries continued to exchange fire on Friday. Iran fired another salvo of missiles at northern Israel, while Israel targeted dozens of sites in Iran.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Students record slight improvements in language arts, mathematics, and science in this year's PEP exams.
Bill setting mandatory minimum penalties for murder unanimously passed in the Senate.
Bermuda police chief endorses the work being done to reduce crime and violence in Jamaica. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sanssouci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
The name you trust to be your friend, to be a partner by your side. For generations we have been the one you trust as your financial guide. Sagicor, building trust for generations, helping hopes and dreams to grow, building our nation. Sagicor's the name you know. Sagicor.
Sagicor, celebrating 55 years.
Building trust for generations.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jordan Scott continues to have a fantastic breakout season. On Friday, he logged his third Wonder Diamond League win of the year in the men's triple jump, this time in Paris. The former Campion College standout posted 70 meters 27 to win, and he's now the outright leader of the event in this season's Diamond League. The other Jamaican in action at the meet, Akira Nugent, the national champion record holder, had to settle for third in the 100 meters hurdles in 12.30 seconds. She was beaten by the inform American Grace Stark, who won in 12.21. The reigning world record holder, Tobi Amusan of Nigeria, was second in a season's best, 12.24. The American Olympic champion, Rai Benjamin, ran a meet record to win the men's 400 hurdles in 46.93. The next stop on the Diamond League circuit will be July 5 in Eugene, Oregon, Tracktown. Kerry Lee Ricketts, who conditions Olympic women's triple jump silver medalist Shanika Ricketts, told the Nationwide Sports that track and field athletes, especially those who are not amongst the elite in the sport, they face massive financial challenges, which often lead to them having to make the difficult choice between patriotism and pragmatism. Ricketts was speaking in the light of the decision made by at least two of Jamaica's Paris Olympic medalists to switch allegiance to Turkey. Discus gold medalist Roger Stoner and shot put bronze medalist Rajendra Campbell are now looking to wear the colors of Turkey at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Ricketts says he understands the reality of their situation.
In Jamaica, some of these athletes are not signed to be an athlete and to be actually competing at a high level to represent Jamaica and even get to the finals. It takes a lot of support. Massage is very expensive. A pro athlete need at least 2 massages a week. And you talk about supplements, and you talk about you have to pay bills and you have to eat. So most of these that don't have a support system around them in terms of funding or a shoe company deal, they will struggle. And when you do all of that, you win a medal and then you come home and, the country doesn't really treat you well, no appreciation. One athlete mentioned to me that, coach, why is it that every year after the Olympics, even if we win 4 or 5 medals in the sprints, there's a big gala. And this year we won medals, but most of the medals came from field events and there's no gala, there's nothing. Is it because it's field events?
Ricketts, who is also the husband of Shanika, says she had opportunities to compete for other countries but chose to stay loyal to Jamaica.
Shanika was approached 2019 after she won the Diamond League final and again in 2022. So she was approached. However, at the time, as I was saying, she basically I've always wanted to represent Jamaica and has done so since age group category into Carista games. And so her intention was basically just to represent Jamaica, and she wasn't. She didn't actually have an interest of switching allegiance.
And he says to this day, his wife had no regrets and she's happy with the decision she made.
Still no regrets. I mean, when you think about it, if you check the World Athletics standing, it shows that she's number 1 in the world at the moment. She has won 3 medals, 1 at the Olympics and 2 at World Championships. She has also won a Commonwealth. She has won everything. She has won knockout, 2-time knockout champion, 1-time World Cup champion, Commonwealth silver and Commonwealth champion, World Championship silver medalist, 2 times Olympic medalist, 1. She has won the Diamond League several times. I mean, she's quite happy with her achievements and representing her home nation. So, of course, she has no regret.
Kerry Lee Ricketts. Jamaica's national senior men's football team arrived at PayPal Park within the past hour for their must-win CONCACAF Gold Cup showdown against Guadeloupe, starting in just a little over an hour from now. This Group D fixture is a do-or-die for both teams, who suffered defeat in their opening games and now languish at the foot of the table without a point. Jamaica's coach Steve McLaren is aware of the permutations, and he believes it has made the stakes higher in this game.
Guadeloupe are a good team, very physical, got 3 or 4 very talented players, individuals who can cause problems. We need to be disciplined, we need to be structured, we need individuals to step up and perform, and we need a reaction from them to get the result. So this is not going to be an easy game. There's no easy games, I know, but this is not going to be an easy game. You don't expect in the Gold Cup to do that in these tournaments. So we have to be strong, resilient, mentally strong and resilient, and make sure in both boxes we're good. And in between, we make sure we put in the work that gets us the win.
Steve McLaren and striker Ramon Burrell says the team has it in it, the players have it in them to get the team over the line and into the quarterfinals.
As a team, we want to get to the next round. Personally, I just want to score goals. I just want to be, useful for the team and do my bit.
Ramon Burrell. South Africa beat the West Indies by 50 runs at the 3Ws Oval in Barbados today to take a 1-0 lead in their 3-match Women's T20 International Series. Tasmin Brits slammed an undefeated 98 to help steer the visitors to 183 for 6 in their 20 overs. Brits belted 9 fours and 4 sixes of 63 balls as Jazara Claxton claimed 3 for 39. The West Indies in reply were restricted to 133 for 6, as only Janelia Glasgow with an undefeated 58 and Chanel Henry 26 made any useful contribution. Game 2 is on Sunday at the same venue. The South Africans looking to take a winning 2-0 lead. The West Indies trying to keep interest in the series alive. And finally, in sport at this time, organizer of the Swimmers Aquatic Long Course Championship, Linville Lowe, says over 400 athletes have entered for the meet at the stadium pool on Saturday. Lowe says he's expecting some fast times as it's the final chance for swimmers to book a spot on the Goodwill Games team.
I know about my swimmers. They are ready. They are ready to roll. I mean, you just go out and execute. And that's our coach already, 4 or 5 of them is definitely trying to qualify to make it to go to Barbados. And I think they can make it because they're really knocking on the door. The competition will be strong. It will be a fight.
That's Linville Lowe. And that will do it for sports at this time. Alok is going to be back with you at 6:05 on the Major Sportscast.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocho Rios to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airport Authority of Jamaica is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
We have, as a people, been fed a steady diet of information, oftentimes untrue, that nothing na go on. This is probably the first government that almost every single day of the week could have a groundbreaking, a handing over, a contract signing, a commissioning, because enough things are going on in Jamaica under the Andrew Holness-led government. Enough things. So when they come to you with the negativity about nothing na go on, you may not see what is happening. So when you see groundbreaking, we have been working 2 years, 3 years before bringing it through a process, and we have all kinds of projects, not in a pipeline. Our projects are on a track, so we have a train line of projects to come.
This message is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real. You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all expense paid trip for 2, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup, plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
Share in the experience at Fontana Pharmacy. We have a wide variety of items in store just for you. Fill your prescriptions while you shop. And senior citizens enjoy 10% off. Shop household, cosmetics, toys, and many other departments. We also offer curbside pickup and delivery. Visit our website at fontanapharmacy.com. Fontana Pharmacy, where it's all good inside.
The race to 32. Nationwide 90 FM's coverage of the 2025 general elections. Coming soon.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. for our live broadcast of the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference at Edith Dalton James High, Sunday, June 22. Hear from Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie, Standard Bearer Corey Dunkley, alongside Members of Parliament Matthew Samuda, Favour Williams, Orlando Terrelong, Senators Cavan Gale and Abka Fitzhenley. It's the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference at Edith Dalton James High, Sunday, June 22 from 6 to 9 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference on Sunday, June 22, Jamaican Dads, Immaculate Moments and Baha'i Faith will not be aired.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs and loan entertainment. Come on the road with me. Cause when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. We forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome the Shell Boss. I'm gonna make it bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tunes. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect,
and Bust the Youth. That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth, don't miss it.
Public opinions.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5 for another edition of Hopeful Fridays.
Yes.
My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna P. Hope.
How are you?
I am lovely, and I'm glad to be here to share some of the information today. And we also had the KFC National Jamaica Day. Yes,
Were you out there?
No, I was not. Okay. But I was looking on at the excitement, and I expected it, yeah?
All right.
So it was exciting.
A special good afternoon to all the Pepsters. Congratulations to you all.
And the parents and teachers.
The parents who were relentlessly worrying, who were just anxious on pins and needles.
And the teachers who
sweating.
were working from dusk till dawn. Don't forget the teachers. They're putting a lot of work.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you all.
Congratulations all.
Especially if you're going to a school of your choice. And if you didn't get a school of your choice, just know that you can go and do well where you have been placed. Just keep your head up and keep doing well.
Education does have value, so continue to focus on your education and maximize the benefits from it. That's what I tell all the young people. Go
Absolutely.
Right ahead. Yes.
So the results are out, and the percentage of primary school students who have mastered mathematics, that's doubled. This is based on the performance in this year's sitting of the Grade 6 Primary Exit Profile PEP, and that's compared to 2023. They were first assessed, of course, at the grade 4 level. The Ministry of Education presented the data at a press conference today. The Education Minister says between grade 4 and now, the percentage of students who achieved proficiency, that's moved from 27% to 56%.
34% of students were graded as developing. Those assessed as beginners in the final exam has dropped to 3%. The Education Minister says for language arts, the percentage of students considered proficient almost doubled to 67%. In the overall 2025 results, 2% of students were considered highly proficient in language arts, while 23% of them were graded as developing.
Students in the beginner category, that stood at 8%. In science, 61% were proficient, 9% highly proficient, 28% developing, and 2% were graded as beginners.
For social studies, 58% were proficient, 14% highly proficient, 2% developing, and 1% were graded as beginners. In the meantime, of course, our Education Minister, Senator Maurice Dixon, says this year's grade 6 cohort has recorded higher scores in this year's sitting of the Primary Examination Profile, PEP. She noted that this year's cohort outperformed last year's in language arts and mathematics.
For mathematics, it was a 2% increase over last year. Percentage points, I should say. And for language arts, it was 3 percentage points over last year. So if you look at language arts, we're 69% this year. And so last year would have been at 66% of students being proficient and highly proficient. And for maths, we improved by 2 percentage points.
The minister also revealed that students performed similarly in social studies and science exams.
Last year, it's basically flat for social studies. 71.8% last year were proficient or highly proficient, and this year it's 71.6%. So pretty flat there. Again, fewer students were at the beginning level in social studies than compared to 2024, which is a good thing. You always want to look at who's at the bottom level. Are they improving? Are they getting better? And the numbers show that that's increasing. In terms of science, again, flat performance there, 69.8% in 2024, 69.97% at proficient and highly proficient in 2025. We're almost at that 70%.
That's Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, the Education Minister. Now, the Deputy Chief Education Officer in charge of exam and assessments, Maria Ho Young, was scheduled to join us. We're trying to reach you, Miss Ho Young. If anybody knows where we can find her, please let her know that she has an appointment here and we're waiting for her. Of course, she's in charge of exam and assessment administration services at the Ministry of Education. And it seems, based on what I'm hearing, Prof, that a lot of students and their parents are happy with the results.
A lot
far?
of us listening on and looking at the percentages are also happy, Ricardo, because we have been using this primary exit exam, whatever we call it, common entrance. We have been using GSAT, all these names to help us assess where our students are before they enter the secondary level. And we have been having, I know, some dismal kind of results, especially for mathematics. So we are trying to ensure that that we get that kind of results that we want for our students, that will tell us that we are doing well for them. And I think seeing the percentages move up, especially as the minister says, the lower percentile, we have to pay more attention to that. And that's important for us here in Jamaica.
One of the things I was thinking about, how much the publishing of results, how much that's changed. Because... Yes. And forgive me, Prof. Yes. But in your time, when I say your time.
In my time. No,
they published it in the Gleaner, didn't they?
You don't want to live in that time. We nearly died of anxiety. The morning of my exam result, and I'm not telling you when, whatever, back in the distant past, I couldn't find my name in the newspapers.
So I was worried.
But I'm saying, I'm bright and I couldn't find my name in the newspapers, and we searched, and then somebody walking past my yard, I lived on the same road as Lindsay Dolly School, said, Donna Whoop, we see your name in the paper. I'm like, your name in there? And then it turned out I'd gotten a government scholarship, so my name was at a different place. But it was you're getting belly pains, you're getting stomach pains, your family in tears, but we were all published in the newspapers.
So the whole community,
the whole Linstead.
How you performed.
Yes, and they were waiting. So when I couldn't find my name, they were like, but she's brilliant. But it was a horribly stressful time, and then you all went to school and celebrated. So I know people are celebrating, but that time, it came in the newspapers, in the Gleaner, the Jamaica Gleaner. We have to take a break, I think, yes, and we'll come right back.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 15 minutes to 6.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are go a Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ochivios is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
At Kia, driving your future means joining the movement that inspires. Whether it's the small but mighty Picanto hatchback or the top-of-the-line tech-rich Sorento SUV, there's a Kia that perfectly fits your lifestyle and your budget. ATL Automotive has gotten Jamaicans behind the wheels of thousands of Kias for the past 7 years. And we're ready to get you behind the wheel of a Kia too. Simply visit the nearest Kia showroom for a test drive now.
Are your devices accurate? Are they calibrated? Even small errors can lead to big problems. That's why Jamaicans trust the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From food to fuel, health to hardware, our metrology and testing division provides world-class calibration and measurement services to keep your devices precise and your business meeting global standards. Whether you're weighing goods, monitoring temperature, or relying on the accuracy of devices, we get it right every time. Our advanced equipment and experts help you move with confidence. Call 876-618-1534 or visit bsj.org.jm. The Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From lab to market, the power of precision, powering accuracy, ensuring safety.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. And we're doing some strolling down memory lane.
We're doing a poll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prof Hope did Common Entrance.
Common Entrance crew and the
Bugs
YouTubers.
did Common Entrance.
Yes.
I did GSAT. And we think Dana did PEP.
Dana did
She-
PEP.
no, she
And
did GSAT. No, she did GSAT.
we'll ask the minister when she comes on.
Minister Morris Dixon is with us now, the Education Minister. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon.
How are you both?
We're doing well.
Very well.
Doing well.
Minister, did you also have the experience of your name being published in the Gleaner?
I did. I did Common Entrance. I'm old.
No, minister, you're not old. You're we're not using that word.
So
advanced,
Minister,
ahead.
Let me get your overall reaction to the results that were published today.
Well, I'm pleased and I'm so proud of our students. They went through so much. As I noted earlier, this was a group that we were concerned about. They missed grade 1 and grade 2 face-to-face classes. And when they did their grade 4 PEP, it caused all sorts of alarms, especially in mathematics and language arts. And you've seen the schools work so hard with them. We were almost at 70% of the students being proficient in all the areas, which is great. I mean, there's work to be done.
Yes.
But where we were starting from in their grade 4 PEP, I'm very proud of them. And what I'm even more proud of is our primary schools. Our primary schools are performing so much better. There are more of them in the top 50 schools. Some of the top spots are going to our primary school children.
Yes.
It is really beautiful to see. And the other thing I'm happy to see were the number of schools that were in the top 10, that the top 10 students are going to. Usually it would just be 3 schools that the top 10 students would pick. But this year we have 6 different schools that the top 10 students in the country have chosen. And one of them is a technical high school. So there's shifts happening in the education
Indeed,
system,
Minister.
and I'm very happy.
Indeed, Minister Morris Dixon. And in terms of the strategies, I know that a lot of strategies are employed through the Ministry of Education to ensure that the COVID cohort, which is what you're really talking about, got what they needed. Will some of these strategies continue? Are there plans to continue or to transform what has been made available so that we can continue to see these expanded and improved results from the PEP?
Yes, definitely. We are going to continue this work. It gives us a lot of impetus to continue on the path that we're on. I would have mentioned previously that we identified the underperforming primary schools and the underperforming high schools. And we're actively intervening in those schools now. So many of those schools have extended learning hours. They're going to school in the Christmas holiday, in the Easter holidays. We're doing a lot of work with them from the ministry side, and the schools are so supportive, and the teachers are doing such an excellent job. And we're seeing the results. And I think one of the things that I should note for you were some schools. When we looked at the data for the grade 4 test for these same children, there were some schools that we deemed critical, meaning that 75% of the students were at the beginning level or the developing level, not proficient. That's a big number, 75% of their students. And I'm so happy. There were 20 of them that we had in language arts, and there were about 40 of them in math. And we've been working with those schools, and you see mixed results there. But there were 6 schools in each of those subject areas that were critical. And when we looked at the PEP results last night, they had 100% of their children moving into proficiency.
That's good.
That's excellent. Congratulations.
That says it can be done. And it's an example for all schools, any school who feels that, the situation isn't in their favor. It can be done because these schools have done it. And these are not schools that, have a whole lot of extra resources. Many of them are rural schools.
Yes.
They're in poor communities, and they've been able to take these children to proficiency in 2 years.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Minister, these results are being published at a time when your opposition counterpart has been particularly critical of the government's track record in education. How do you square these results against his criticisms?
I think his criticisms are curious because I have seen his plans, and I always say this: everybody in Jamaica wants to see our education system get better, and the reality is that we've done a lot of things to improve it, and the PEP results are showing that some of the work we've done is paying off, especially with our COVID group. There's more work to be done, yes, but I think it is paying off. And I'm always very fascinated when I look at my counterparts, the opposition spokesperson's plans, and I keep saying, but that's exactly what we're doing in the ministry. And my ministry team feels very strongly. They're just saying what we're doing. And it is true, because we've already announced that come September, those schools that we call our NSLIP schools, which are the schools that aren't performing where we want them, all of them are going to be getting breakfast in addition to lunch that is provided for the PATH students. That's just across the board. We're going to be doing that for those schools. We're already doing big interventions in literacy, especially in the schools. Yes. And we're going to continue that and expand that. And I've already announced that for September. Reading, which had been taken off of the timetable, is going back in for all students, grade 1 to 3.
And Minister, let me, if I could just interrupt there, because a lot of people have been asking the question, and as far as I can tell, this happened in about 1999, thereabout. What was the reasoning behind removing it in the first place?
I think we're adding other things to the curriculum and emphasizing other areas. And so reading as a subject, especially where, you're able to read out loud, you have your books and you're just reading in class, that was not happening. And so it's not the best move, and we're seeing the results of that move. And that's why we put it back in. And this is another instance where the teachers and the schools are leading in terms of the transformation. Because I actually went to some schools that were having literacy issues, and they've been able to solve it. And guess what? Most of them told me they did. They timetabled reading. Even though the ministry had not mandated it, they were doing it. And I was seeing the results.
Yes.
And so we said, we're going to do it, because if these schools can see results from doing that simple change, we're going to mandate it. And so we've been printing books. We used AI to make it a little cheaper.
Yes.
To develop the story.
Yes.
So the pictures look a little strange, but we have books that we're printing, because what we want is for each child to have a stock of books, so that they can do their reading in the time that is allotted. And so that's what we're spending a lot of time printing. Next week, we're doing training with the teachers to emphasize the areas of reading that we would like emphasized, and also to help them with the challenges that they're having. That's happening for our teachers across the country beginning next week. So we're not just sitting here, dreaming of a better education system. We're actively doing it. So the nutrition piece we're doing, the literacy piece we're doing, and then another impediment. We know rural children, sometimes they don't come to school on a Friday or on a Thursday because the money run out. It's expensive for transportation, and we are fixing that with the 100 buses for the rural school bus system, which will be a start to transform that area too, so that our students don't have any impediment to coming to school anymore.
Indeed.
Minister, I know you would be seized of the fact that for many Jamaicans, they want to see the improvements happen faster.
Yes.
And obviously you right. I was about to say you're a member of the transformation committee, so you're seized of the need for speeding that up. How are you going to ensure that from a policy perspective that all the arms of the education sector work in tandem to ensure that we can get bigger improvements in terms of these subjects and across PEP?
All right. So there are many things that we're doing. The first one is obviously in terms of the training of our teachers. And our teachers have been very receptive to this because all our teachers want to see their children do well. No teacher wants to see PEP results come out and their students did not thrive. And so they're anxious too. And so we're providing the support that they need. We're also ramping up having specialist teachers in the schools. So in some schools that you go to now, you will see a separate teacher for maths and science versus for language arts and social studies, because we have to separate it. Sometimes one teacher can't teach everything effectively.
Yes.
So we've been rolling that out a lot more. And we think that with the literacy interventions that we're also doing and the reading that we're doing, that we will see those numbers go up. And I look forward to a day when the results are so good that it's really a challenge getting into schools. But the goal ultimately is to improve all of the high schools so that more of them can be seen as schools of choice. And we're seeing that happen now. There's more work we have to do with that, and some of the schools have to do a little bit more branding, and I'll help them with that, because some schools that are non-traditional schools are doing really good things. And their results at CSEC are amazing, and the work that their children do after is phenomenal, and Jamaica doesn't know. And so we're going to have to do a better job of selling these schools to Jamaica, because you don't have to go to one of those name brand schools in order to succeed in this world. And so there's much more work for us to do. I'm up to the task, and I know the ministry team is excited, and we're just going to keep working, because our children deserve us to work hard to have them realize the dreams that they have.
Yeah. Indeed, Minister Morris. So we are out of time, I think, so we have to continue.
Yeah.
But kudos to you and the team of the ministry, and of course to all the teachers across Jamaica we had the parents as well, and just continue the good work, because at the end of it, education becomes a major foundation for the society we are trying to build.
And if I could just, on a point of personal privilege, give a special congratulations to the students at Mountain View Primary.
Oh,
I am a proud board member. So congratulations to them.
To you too.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Yes.
The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. There's been a marginal improvement in 3 of the 4 subject areas in the primary exit profile PEP examinations when compared to last year's sitting. That's according to Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon.
For mathematics, it was a 2% increase over last year. Percentage points, I should say. And for language arts, it was 3 percentage points over last year. So if you look at language arts, we're 69% this year. And so last year would have been at 66% of students being proficient and highly proficient. And for maths, we improved by 2 percentage points.
Almost 90% of students who sat this year's exam were placed at their school of choice. In mathematics, 56% of students achieved proficiency, while 2% were highly proficient. For language arts, 67% were proficient and 7% were graded as highly proficient. The minister credits the National School Learning and Intervention Plan for the success.
But what this shows is that with the right interventions, and the ministry has been intervening in these schools, when you go into many of these primary schools, and I've seen it, you are seeing specialist teachers, and that's making a difference. So you go into some schools and you see the class has 2 teachers. You have one teacher who is teaching science and who's teaching mathematics. And then you have another teacher who is teaching language arts and social studies. What it means is that you are able to get the specialized expertise teaching in their proficient area instead of one teacher teaching everything. And that is proving to be successful in the schools.
Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education. President of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police, Darren Simmons, has offered a ringing endorsement of the work being done to reduce crime and violence in Jamaica. He's described it as the envy of the Caribbean region.
While our region grapples with rising violence, Jamaica has forged a new path. The numbers don't just speak, they shout about what is possible. A 44% reduction in murders. A 20% reduction in major crimes. The first quarter of 2025 recorded the lowest major crime figures in more than 25 years. And in May 2025, traditionally one of the most deadliest months, it has become the second lowest in over 2 decades. These changes are the envy of every Caribbean nation.
Commissioner Simmons, who leads the police force in Bermuda, says the reductions should be celebrated. He commended the government for what he described as an investment in excellence. Commissioner Simmons urged regional counterparts to use Jamaica as an example in their crime-fighting efforts.
Jamaica just hasn't improved. You've transformed the definition of what well-led, sufficiently funded Caribbean police force can achieve. JCF didn't achieve this through enforcement alone. They have also built trust by focusing on people, quality, and technology. By recognizing that 21st century policing requires 21st century thinking. That partnership approach is the future of policing in the Caribbean. We stand at a crossroads. We can let criminal networks define our future, or we can follow Jamaica's lead and transform our region into the safe, prosperous, just society that our ancestors dreamed of.
Darren Simmons, president of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police. He was speaking at the JCF's Expo 2.0 at the National Arena on Thursday. More than 70% of motorcyclists involved in road crashes were not wearing helmets. Head of the JCF's Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, ACP Dr. Gary McKenzie, made the revelation on Friday.
We have been plagued over many years as it relates to challenges with motorcyclists and pillion riders not wearing helmets. The following facts, of course, emphasize the challenges that we have had. For the past 5 years in particular, over 100 persons who travel on motorcycles have been killed in road deaths, and numerous other persons have been injured. When we check our investigations, we recognize that there was no evidence that over 70% of the drivers of motorcycles were wearing helmets when they crash.
He was speaking at the signing ceremony for a Memorandum of Understanding on Global Road Safety. As of June 20, 2025, 177 lives have been lost to road crashes, resulting from 160 fatal collisions. Motorcyclists account for a third of the total figure, with over 20% of fatalities since the start of the year. ACP McKenzie says research has revealed that helmets can reduce head injuries by over 60%.
I am here to say that wearing helmet whilst driving motorcycle is quite critical. Based on international research, helmets can reduce the risk of head injury by up to 69% and the risk of death by up to 37%. And so it is very important that we understand that wearing of helmet is very important. This promotion of helmet wearing should not be taken lightly.
ACP Dr. Gary McKenzie, head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch. The MOU was signed by the JCF, the FIA Foundation, and the JN Foundation to develop a 2-year training program for the JCF. The collaboration is expected to strengthen the enforcement of the JCF in respect to helmet wearing and motorcycle safety. And Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besacer McKenzie says injuries sustained from motorcycle incidents are a cause for great concern.
Motorbike accidents account for about 29.1% of road traffic crashes and accounted for 38.9% of men that were affected in road traffic crashes and 7.5% of women. And we know that the age group that is mostly affected is the 20 to 29 age group. Motorcycle-related injuries in Jamaica are a serious health concern. There's a high incidence of accidents and the associated injuries. And these injuries range from minor soft tissue injury to severe injuries like head trauma, fractures, and, as we said, fatalities. Factors like helmet use, speeding, and adherence to traffic regulations play a crucial role in the severity and frequency of these accidents.
Dr. Jacqueline Bisaser Mackenzie, Chief Medical Officer. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Please walk a figure trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
Taste it, eat it, drink it, applaud it. The 26th staging of the Jamaica Observer Table Talk Food Awards, the Caribbean's premier culinary event, powered by MasterCard, takes place Thursday, June 26th, on the East Lawns of King's House. Get your tickets at Starbucks at AC Marriott, Starbucks Ligony, Starbucks Waterloo, Signature Boutique, Unit 9, Legal Business Centre, 31 Upper Waterloo Road, Uncorked, Uncorked 2, Constant Spring Road, Uncorked Barbican, Sovereign North, Uncorked Ochi, Draxhall, Uncorked West, Fairview Shopping Centre, Resort Wear by Ereline, Shop 4 Progressive Shopping Centre, Kingston, Cafe Dolce, 114 Constant Spring Road, Kingston, Fromage Bistro, 8 Hillcrest Avenue, Kingston, and of course the offices of the Jamaica Observer in Kingston and Montego Bay. Adults 18 years and over. Drink responsibly.
You have to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swiby. We start with track on the field as Jordan Scott continues to have a fantastic breakout season. On Friday, he logged his third Wonder Diamond League win of the year in the men's triple jump in Paris. The former Campion College standout posted 17.27 meters to win, and he's now the outright leader of the event in this season's Diamond League. The other Jamaican in action at the meet, Akira Nugent, had to settle for third in the 100 meters hurdles in 12.32 seconds. She was beaten by the informed American Grace Stark, who won in 12.21 seconds, while the reigning world record holder Toby Amerson was second in a season's best 12.24 seconds.
Set. And a very good start there from Grace Stark. She's just alongside Akira Nugent as well. Grace Stark just building momentum as they go into the second half of the race. Grace Stark trying to hold it together. She's so quick between the barriers. She manages it. Toby Amerson with a...
Now, America's Olympic champion Ray Benjamin ran a meet record to win the men's 400 meters hurdles in 46.93 seconds. The next stop on the Diamond League circuit will be July 5 in Eugene, Oregon. Carolee Ricketts, who conditions Olympic women's triple jump silver medalist Shanika Ricketts, told Nationwide Sports that track and field athletes, especially those who are not among the elite in the sport, face massive financial challenges which often lead to them having to make the difficult choice between patriotism and pragmatism. Ricketts was speaking in light of the decision by two of Jamaica's Paris Olympic medalists to switch allegiance to Turkey on Thursday. Discus gold medalist Roger Stoner and the shot put bronze medalist Rajendra Campbell are now looking to wear the colors of Turkey at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Ricketts says he understands the reality of their situation.
Events in Jamaica, some of these athletes are not signed. To be an athlete and to be actually competing at a high level to represent Jamaica and even get to the finals, it takes a lot of support. Massage is very expensive. A pro athlete need at least 2 massages a week. And you talk about supplements and you talk about you have to pay bills and you have to eat. So most of these don't have a support system around them in terms of funding or a shoe company deal. They will struggle. And when you do all of that and you win a medal and then you come home and the country doesn't really treat you well, no appreciation. One athlete mentioned to me that, coach, why is it that every year after the Olympics, even if we win 4 or 5 medals in the sprints, there's a big gala. And this year we won medals, but most of the medals came from field events and there's no gala, there's nothing. Is it because it's field events?
Ricketts, who is also the husband of Sanika, says she had opportunities to compete for other countries but chose to stay loyal to Jamaica.
Sanika was approached 2019 after she won the Diamond League final and again in 2022. So she was approached. However, at the time, as I was saying, she basically I've always wanted to represent Jamaica and has done so since age group category into Carista games. And so her intention was basically just to represent Jamaica and she wasn't, she didn't actually have an interest of switching allegiance.
Ricketts says to this day his wife had no regrets and is happy with her decision to stay loyal to country.
Still no regrets. I mean, when you think about it, if you check the World Athletics standing, it shows that she's number 1 in the world at the moment. She has won 3 medals, 1 at the Olympics and 2 at World Championships. She has also won a Commonwealth. She has won everything. She has won 2-time knockout champion, 1-time World Cup champion, Commonwealth silver and Commonwealth champion, World Championship silver medalist 2 times, Olympic medalist 1. She has won the Diamond League several times. I mean, she's quite happy with her achievements and representing her home nation. So, of course, she has no regret.
Carol Lee Ricketts. Amaria Morris of St. Elizabeth won Heat 2 of the Girls Open 800 meters at the 2-day JTA Sagicor Primary School Track and Field Championships, which started at the National Stadium on Friday. Morris won in 2 minutes 36.98 seconds to advance to tomorrow's final.
As they turn for home now, it's going to be a sprint finish. Amari Morris of St. Elizabeth, though, is leading and well ahead from St. Anne's Rakelia Campbell in second, but there'll be no catching Amara Morris of St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth takes this one through Morris, Campbell in second, and I'll tell you what, from Portland coming through for third, that's Christine Kennedy.
Coming to there courtesy of Track Alert. Now to cricket, as South Africa beat the West Indies by 50 runs at the Three Doublers Oval in Barbados on Friday to take a 1-0 lead in their 3-match Women's T20 International Series. Tasmin Bridge slammed an unbeaten 98 to help steer the visitors to 183 for 6 in their 20 overs. Bridge belted 9 4s and 4 6s off 63 deliveries as Jazara Claxton claimed 3 for 39. The West Indies in reply were restricted to 133 for 6 as only Janila Glasgow with an undefeated 58 and Chanel Henry 26 made any useful contribution. Game 2 is on Sunday at the same venue with the South Africans looking to take a winning 2-0 lead and the Windies trying to keep interest in the series alive. Now to football, as Jamaica's national senior men's football team arrived at PayPal Park within the past hour for their must-win CONCACAF Gold Cup showdown against Guadeloupe. The Group C fixture is a do or die for both teams who suffered defeat in their opening games and now languish at the foot of the table without a point. Jamaica's coach Steve McLaren is aware of the permutations and he believes it has made the stakes on this game even higher.
Guadeloupe are a good team, very physical, got 3 or 4 very talented players, individuals who can cause problems. We need to be disciplined, we need to be structured, we need individuals to step up and perform, and we need a reaction from them to get the result. So this is not going to be an easy game. There's no easy games, I know, but this is not going to be an easy game. You don't expect in the Gold Cup to do that in these tournaments. So we have to be strong, resilient, mentally strong and resilient, and make sure in both boxes we're good. And in between, we make sure we put in the work that gets us the win.
Meanwhile, Reggae Boys forward Romain Barrel says the players are committed to qualifying for the quarter-final round.
As a team, we want to get to the next round. Personally, I just want to score goals. I just want to be, useful for the team and do my bit.
Romain Barrel. Now, champions and leaders Fraser's Whip will go in hunt of their 16th straight win when they take on 5th place Wi-Fi United in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Excelsior High on Saturday. Fraser's Whip are on 45 points from 15 starts, while Wi-Fi are on 21 points after 14 games. In the other fixtures, Mile Gully host Proven Girls, Real Bay are at home to Federal United at Jarrett Park, Arnett Gardens welcome Las Perfectas at the Anthony Spaulding Complex, and Cavalier play Springer United at Alpha Boys Home. Cavalier will take on Real Bay in the first semi-final of the Casafa Mackay Security Under-17 football competition at the Constant Spring Field on Saturday at 4 p.m. In semi-final 2, Harborview faced Waterhouse. Now to swimming. As organizer of the Swimmers Aquatic Long Course Championship, Linval Lowe says over 40 athletes are entered for the meet at the Stadium Pool on Saturday. Lowe says he's expecting some fast times as it's the final chance for swimmers to book a spot on the Goodwill Games team.
I know about my swimmers. They are ready. They are ready to roll. I mean, you just go to execute. And they said, well, coach, ready, 4 or 5 of them is definitely trying to qualify to make it to go to Barbados. And I think they can make it because they're really knocking on the door. The competition will be strong. It will be a fight.
Linval Lowe. Now, captain of the St. Catherine Racers, Abigail Sutherland, and her counterparts from Manchester Spurs, Zardy Green, and Kingston Hummingbirds, Khadija Williams, are all eager for the start of the month-long Red Stripe Flavors Elite Netball League. The league will run from June 27 to July 7 at the Stadium Complex. The Spurs are the defending champions, and Green believes they have the winning formula to retain the title.
We have been training, and I think together, once we keep the camaraderie and we keep our bond that we're trying to build close, just like we did last year when we tried to be each other's keeper, our sisters keeper, and back each other. Once we continue to have that this year, I think we should be in the finals for this season.
Racers are last year's beaten finalists, and Sutherland says they have what it takes to improve on that performance.
Well, we will hope to go one place better. I can't reveal all our secrets, so we can't wait to step on court, though. I can't say that much. So all the ladies are pretty excited. So I don't think anyone is playing to lose. So winning is definitely the goal. Can't wait to step on court and get it started.
Meanwhile, Williams was very diplomatic in her warning to her opponent.
I would want to say our team is coming because everybody's team is coming to win, but I want to wish them all the best throughout the season. Just as they're coming to give their best, just know that I'm here to give my best also. I am 100% confident in my team, but we don't want to show all the tricks just yet. Remember, we don't start the league as it,
Khadija Williams, Shenton Orchids, and National Under-21 signers are the other teams in the league. And finally, President of Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, praises World Netball's decision to reduce their World Cup cycle from every 4 years to every 2 years. World Netball says the change was made because of the uncertainty around the Commonwealth Games. Netball has been an official Commonwealth Games sport since 1998 and has relied on the event to showcase the sport to a wider audience. Samuda believes netball's global governing body's assumption that the Commonwealth Games is in danger may be considered by some to be a bit impulsive.
With quite a few suitors for future Commonwealth Games, the decision by World Netball may for some be premature and more to do with capitalizing on opportunities amid strong competition from other sports in order to strengthen their coffers, enhance the profile of the game, and underscore the advent of the males as part of a culture of inclusion.
He says with several new sports vying for an Olympic presence and a viable take on the sponsorship dollar, many sports are now in self-survival mode.
The market has become competitive and economic models for many sports are changing, particularly as a new generation of financial stakeholders and supporting fans are demanding innovation, eclectic experiences, and bang for the buck. Netball is not impervious to this and is now, every 2 years, throwing its net closer to home in the hope that it will establish a marketable identity in capturing hearts and pockets while validating its right as a competitive product in an open market.
Christopher Samuda. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A National Junior and Senior Championships, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. The biggest names in local track and field, with the men's section including the likes of Olympic silver medalist Shane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, Antonio Watson, Christopher Taylor, Rashid Broadbell, Olympic champion Roger Stoner, Rajendra Campbell, Wayne Pinner, and Romaine Beckford. The female division will be no less fascinating, with two-time reigning world champion Sharika Jackson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, the Clayton Twins, Tia and Tina, Alana Reed, Akira Nugent, Rochelle Clayton, and Shanika Ricketts. The action will be sizzling.
As we enter the peak of hurricane season, don't let downtime disrupt your business. Digicel Business offers secure cloud storage and Jamaica's only Tier 3 certified data center, built to withstand storms and safeguard your data. With 24/7 monitoring, local hosting, and 100% uptime, your operations stay protected no matter the weather. Prepare now, protect what matters. Call Digicel Business Solutions at 876-469-2677 or visit digicelbusiness.com. Digicel Business Solutions. Stay online, stay protected.
Get on the rum with Appleton Estate this month. Dive into the history, craftsmanship, and experience a taste of Jamaican excellence. Indulge in your favorite Appleton Estate cocktails and food pairings available at participating restaurants. Or receive a complimentary Appleton 8-year-old Reserve 200 ml when you purchase a bottle of Appleton Estate's Signature Blend 750 ml while stocks last at participating outlets. Appleton Estate. Land on the extraordinary. Follow us at Appleton Estate JA to get on the rum. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, welcome to Public Opinion here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Special good evening to our YouTubers. Feel free to weigh in on today's Public Opinion in the live chat. And today's going to be one of them good ones, you know, folks. Today's going to be one of them nice pop-ups that I don't need to have like a big old long explanation for. It's quite simple, man. Our Deputy Executive Editor, George Davis, had a light bulb moment in the middle of our newsroom meetings. And he was like, you know what we should ask on Friday? Boiled fried dumplings or regular fried dumplings? So said, so done. And that's what we asked. And I didn't think it was gonna be as one-sided in the newsroom as it was. I was certainly on my own in terms of the one I chose, but let's see if the majority sides with me or with the newsroom. So we're gonna check through today. So we're gonna start on Instagram. We asked boil, fry, or fry, and Tana Thomas, the only Tana Thomas, says boil, fry is superior. There we go. Lorraine G says none, which is ridiculous because how do you not eat dumpling? You mean none, unless you just prefer boiled. Maybe, I don't know. Dakota Mitchell says boil fry. All right. Dio Palmo says, let me get that boiled fry real quick. All right. One Empress 658 says boiled fry, crispy and salty. Mrs. Boss Byfield says, boil then fry all day, every day. Sweet 293 Royal says, fried. So does Denise 7337. Vi East says, both of them. Keisha 14 Rowan says, boiled dumpling with salt mackerel, please. Nationwide 90 FM. Tina Bless says, boiled dumpling with some ackee and saltfish. So it's a tad mixed, but I think boiled fry takes home the first round. So that's what they're saying over on Instagram. But what do we have over on X? Are people on team boiled fry if we go over to X, or are they team fry? Let's take a look, man. So we got 11 comments here too. Dalton Clark says that boiled fry is it, especially when it boils into the soup. All right. George Elliott says any flour is flour, boiled, fried, baked, even roasted. Daphne McGreeth says any style, all I want is some good fish, kind. I'm gone with it. All right. Nalicia says both. Mark Ranger says both. Danny Strong says both. Yakana Fletcher says both. Natalie Winter says fried dumpling every time. Karine Brown says boil. Philip Jackson says dumpling in any form, beat rice any day. Boil first place, fry second. But anyone with anything slap. And Shawnee Reynolds says both. Is that what he said? Yeah, any style. There we go. So I guess the tiebreaker will be X. Let's see if we got anything over on X. We do, you know. So Rick says both because it depends on what I'm having with it. Okay. What else we have here? Well, this person's display name is the Jamaican and French flag, and he says the answer is yes. And do your civic duty says slow public opinion day. I wonder what this distraction engagement is for. Well, I mean, unfortunately, that response wasn't boiled fry or fry, so we keep moving. So let's take a look at what the YouTubers are saying. And oof, wow. I'm seeing a lot of boiled fry, man. So we got Grace 2020, Melissa Williams, Sonia Campbell, Edney Powell, Rich Richards, Monica Stone, Erica Barnett, Melissa Brown, all voting boiled fry. Chin Bella, however, says regular fry for me. Kirk says it's the salt that they like. And I see that. You know, man, like boiled fry is good, but I prefer fried dumpling, man. But that doesn't mean boiled fry is bad. I think boiled fry is quite nice. And I think somebody made a very good point earlier when they said it depends on what you're having with it. But even then, they're both good, man. Like, I prefer fry, but boiled fry is good. Like, if you have boiled fry with mackerel, I see the vision. But I also see the vision with fry and mackerel. You know what I'm saying? Saltfish is the same. Well, actually, I think I'd prefer fried dumpling with saltfish as opposed to boiled fry. I think boiled fry is a bit too tough for saltfish. But mackerel, yeah, man, both of them would work good. Someone says boiled fry with some shake out lots of saltfish. All right. Boiled fry with ackee and saltfish for breakfast, says Lloyd Beaumont. Davian Paddy says fried dumpling with ackee and saltfish. All right. And that's exactly what Leonard Seville says. Overnight fried dumpling is the best, says Father Perry. Boiled fry, says Cheerful Birds. Boiled fry wheat dumpling, says YR. We're getting somewhere, man. Baked dumpling is the best with coconut milk, says Scorpion. Something named boiled fry? Yes, Terry. So this is something I've had before. Boiled fries, when you boil the dumplings regular and then you fry that dumpling that you boiled, and the what was a moist dumpling then becomes kind of tough. It's almost like what's the closest thing I could compare it to? Maybe like fry breadfruit, something like that. Maybe even, yeah, it's kind of like that. If you never had boiled fry before, you're kind of missing out. It's very good. What else do we have here? Fry, then boiled fry, says Diane Bright Brown. Boiled fry, says Nicole Sinclair. Carleen McCogg says cornmeal boiled fried. All right, man. Barbara Ellington says neither. All flour products are bad for you. So what do you have as your staples then, Barbara? If you're not eating boiled fried dumplings or fried dumplings, what do you have for your carbs? Boiled fry and roast under the cold pot, but me no fool round dumpling much again. Oh, okay. Davian says, Mahira, porridge you love. Listen, man. Have we ever had a porridge pub up before? Bugs, have we ever asked about porridge before? Surely we've asked about porridge before. We have. I'm almost positive. Yeah. But we only asked between two. We didn't just ask what the favorite porridge was, because then you'd have opened up a new can of worms. I don't think we'd have had enough time to go through all of that. Yeah, somebody says it's like Bammy. There you go, Terry. It's like Bammy. And I actually don't like Bammy, but I think that's probably the closest thing I can compare boiled fry to. What else we have here? Arlene Rose says fried dumpling with cook up red herring, nuff, onion, tomato, pepper, sweet pepper, little vinegar and black pepper also. Also eat the boiled fry. Okay. I don't like dumplings again, says Orinthia Campbell. Why not? What dumplings ever do to you, man? Sharon Bless says, yes, peanut porridge. Yeah, okay. It's starting to come back to me, Sharon. You're right. What else we have here? Dennis Barnaby says boiled fried. Janice Robinson says fried dumpling. There we go. Okay, so Barbara Ellington says instead of having... Is Barbara the same? Yeah, so Barbara told us earlier that, flour products aren't good for you. So she says she eats yam, dasheen, banana, plantain, sweet potato, food that is alive. And I'm walking with you on those. I love yam, I love banana, I love plantain a lot. I love sweet potato. But actually, now that I think about it, I think we could do this. We could do another pop-up about plantain specifically. Because there's different ways of making plantain. Personally, I prefer like the moist, soft one. But there's some people that like drier plantain. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of them people. But I love, we need to ask that maybe next week. That's a good one though. Dennis Blagrove says boiled fry. There we go, man. And Cheerful Bird says fried dumplings nice too. This is a nice pop-up, man. It's a very nice one. A nice, I think boiled fry won today, to be honest with you. I didn't see as many shooters for fried dumpling, but both are good, so I'm satisfied with the result. I'm always satisfied with the pop-up results. But there we go, folks. Another wonderful pop-up completed. I'm Mahiri Stewart, and now it's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:34. Good evening, welcome to the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Infinity Corporate Creditive... Let's do that again. Infinity Cooperative Credit Union says it has launched an innovation mobile app to give members a new level of convenience. The mobile app was launched on June 18. The launch of the app follows Infinity's introduction of a new and improved internet banking platform in 2023 aimed at modernizing the credit union through digital technology. Infinity says the app, which is compatible with both Android and iOS platforms, is available on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. It says the app will allow members to access several services such as checking balances, making internal and external transfers, while also having the option of paying bills on the go. Speaking on the launch, Chief Executive Officer Camille Campbell Drummond says the new mobile app is a major step forward in making banking easier for members. Internationally now, Apple was sued on Friday by shareholders in a proposed securities fraud class action that accused it of downplaying how long it needed to integrate advanced artificial intelligence into its Siri voice assistant, hurting iPhone sales and its stock price. The complaint covers shareholders who suffered potentially hundreds of billions of dollars of losses in the year ending June 9, when Apple introduced several features and aesthetic improvements for its products, but kept AI changes modest. Apple did not immediately respond to requests for comment. CEO Tim Cook, Chief Financial Officer Kevin Parekh, and former CFO Luca Maestri are also defendants in the lawsuit filed in the San Francisco Federal Court. Shareholders led by Eric Tucker said that at its June 2024 Worldwide Developers Conference, Apple led them to believe AI would be a key driver of iPhone 16 devices when it launched Apple Intelligence to make Siri more powerful and user-friendly. And finally, in the currency markets, it cost 160 Jamaican dollars and 60 cents to buy $1. It costs 216 Jamaican dollars and 35 cents to buy £1 British pound, and it costs 119 Jamaican dollars and 51 cents to buy $1 Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Are you looking for a place where your imagination can blossom into something amazing? Where you can be as creative as you dare with facilitators who will prepare you to succeed in a global career? Or maybe you're looking for a place that practices tertiary level education in a practical way? Then you belong at the Vocational Training Development Institute, VTDI. Become the best you can be. You belong here. VTDI, empowering people, transforming lives.
Make a toast to your future. The JTA Cooperative Credit Union is by your side. All educators, the best is what you deserve.
We'll keep your dreams alive.
Competitive loans to help you grow.
We'll take you higher.
Great returns on your savings. A bright future is in the making.
Build the best you with the best credit union. We are committed to serving you.
The JTA Cooperative Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking, and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today.
You've led teams, built businesses, and influenced change. Now, lead research that transforms your field. Apply now for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Professional Practice. Flexible, research-based, and designed for working professionals. All UCC programs are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Learn more and apply online at ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. for our live broadcast of the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference at Edith Dalton James High, Sunday, June 22. Hear from Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie, Standard Bearer Corey Dunkley, alongside Members of Parliament Matthew Samuda, Favour Williams, Alando Terrelong, Senators Cavan Gale, and Abka Fitzhenley. It's the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference at Edith Dalton James High, Sunday, June 22 from 6 to 9 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston Constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the St. Andrew Western Constituency Conference on Sunday, June 22, Jamaican Dads, Immaculate Moments, and Baha'i Faith will not be aired.
It's undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
You're like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and now we're in the nation's business, and we're going to be focusing on a paid political broadcast. So we now bring to you a paid political broadcast of a debate in the lower house on Friday, where government senators expressed strong support for 3 bills, which will significantly increase the punishment for convicted murderers. These 3 bills are: 1, the Offences Against the Person Act; the Offenses Against the Person Amendment Act 2025, the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act 2025, and the Child Care and Protection Amendment Act 2025. Government Senator Leader Kamina Johnson-Smith opened the debate.
So, Mr. President, it is my honor to open the debate on the bills I've just named, and it is my hope that we will take the debate on all three together and I'm sure you will address them appropriately in committee as required. Thank you. Mr. President, the bills before us seek to amend their principal legislation to increase the mandatory minimum penalty specified for murder, to increase the minimum periods that must be served before an offender is eligible for parole, and to adjust the term of life imprisonment to 50 years where the offense is murder. Mr. President, there are two lists of amendments that have been circulated today, and just very briefly, allow me to clarify that one, they're on your table.
They're on the table.
The amendment to the Child Care and Protection Act bill for consideration by the Senate is an amendment to Clause 2, which in effect amends Section 78(3)(a) of the Child Care and Protection Act. And just to explain very briefly, Mr. President, the two amendments that are on that page, and they're very brief, as you see, they're just 2 lines each, that one of them, it seeks to ensure that child perpetrators of murder remain exempt from the longest sentences applied to capital murder. The bill that came from the lower house still retained a clause indicating that the higher sentence of 50 years would apply to perpetrators who are minors, and that is not the case. That is not the intention. So the amendment here couldn't be treated as editorial, but too substantive, is to delete that provision and to renumber the remaining subsections 2 and 3 as 1 and 2. Mr. President, the other amendment there provides that where an individual commits an offense and it appears that he or she was a minor at the time of the offense, but he or she becomes 18 at the time of trial, that the penalty applicable will still be the penalty when at the time committed, when he or she was a child. So the child penalty follows through. That's making it clear, exactly. Yes, because all of these changes are coming through, it was thought best to make sure that offenses are appropriately treated with, and there's no confusion in the court. The second list of amendments that's provided is again an amendment to Clause 2, but a little longer, Mr. President. The intention of these amendments, or the amendment before us, they are being made to the amendment to the Offenses Against the Persons Act, and essentially they provide that where a child is a victim of a murder, it should be treated even more seriously by the courts, and essentially by the addition of more years to be served by the offender. So we will go into the details of that a little more, but this is intended, Mr. President, to give voice to the abhorrence that society feels when children are murdered. Mr. President, the matters that we deal with today, the increase in the penalties, signal that we find murder to be a heinous crime, and that we feel strongly that this legislature must send a signal to society, and more particularly to the criminals, that we hold this crime of murder in the highest level of revulsion. Mr. President, that's the aim of the bills that were tabled here on the 9th of May. But the aim of the amendments, the further amendments before us, of course, address that next level, Mr. President, because I am certain that we are all agreed that the murder of a child is even more heinous. And this government felt very, very clear that we shouldn't pursue these bills in relation to increasing the penalties of murder without also addressing the matter of treating the murder of children as more serious. And this is the intent of the new amendments before us. if I recall, Mr. President, that when the murder of little 9-year-old Kelsey Farragon shocked our collective conscience as a nation, as it has been shocked before, the Prime Minister asked that the laws in relation to the murder of children be fast-tracked. Mr. President, we acknowledge that there is work on the way to strengthen penalties for other offences against children, and we had in fact sought to bring those forward, but again, the weight that has held them down for so long in the technical assessments and the drafting and redrafting, that subsists. The work continues, but as today, we're focused on sending a signal from this Parliament to criminals in respect of murder. We focus on the fact that if they do choose, if individuals in this society choose to commit the offense of murder, they must be aware that they will be separated from society for the longest permissible period of time. And this is the work before the Senate today. So, Mr. President, the government takes very seriously our duty to protect the fundamental rights and freedoms of all Jamaicans. And this has always been a long-standing part of our legacy. When the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms were amended in 2011, repealing and replacing the Chapter 11 of the Constitution with the Charter of Rights, the intent was clearly to provide more comprehensive and effective protection for the rights of every citizen of our country. And I'm sure we agree, Mr. President, that prime among these fundamental rights enshrined in our Constitution are the rights to life, liberty, and security of the person, the right not to be deprived thereof, except in the execution of the sentence of a court in respect of a criminal offense of which the person has been convicted. Of course, Mr. President, while the Constitution bestows this right on each person, the Constitution equally demands that the right is respected and upheld by every other person. So no person is to deny another person's right to life, liberty, and security of the person. And a person who deprives another of his or her life must face the most serious of consequences. Mr. President, the Constitution also places particularly duties and responsibilities on the state. And as the state promotes and upholds the rights of its citizens, including the rights to which I just spoke, the state must also intervene and act decisively to protect citizens from threats to their lives, liberty, and security, particularly where a citizen has been deprived of that most fundamental right. So in accord with the duty of the state to protect citizens from harm and in accordance with the Constitution, the state is empowered to neutralize threats of harm through various dimensions of law enforcement and correctional approaches. So in recent times here in Jamaica, the approaches have been focused on policing, to maintain peace and to prevent dangerous activity from being committed against persons and the state, investigations that catch those responsible and hold them to account, prosecution, ensuring proper preparation for a fair trial, and incarceration. So, Mr. President, before I examine the clauses of the bill, I just want to place them within this broader context, first constitutionally, as I've just done, and then within our multi-pronged strategy for national security. Because our approach to addressing social disorder and criminal violence has always been guided by a well-calibrated strategic framework, one based on a holistic policy requiring strong enforcement measures in parallel with building and developing the capacity of the police force, introducing targeted and effective social intervention, and enhancing the legislative framework to appropriately address modern circumstances. So every step we have taken, Mr. President, and every step we are indeed taking is focused on achieving meaningful and measurable results for the Jamaican people. Mr. President, you mentioned that last evening we were at the Transformation 2.0 Expo. And I really want to join you in recommending to everyone, all who are listening online and everyone here in the Senate, to attend. It is, if I'm able to find the time, I will go back this weekend because I didn't even get to visit all of the booths. It is a spectacular demonstration of the incredible transformation of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And I know you've heard me say it before, Mr. President, maybe others have as well, but I always say I wish Jamaicans could see ourselves through the eyes of others. And it was absolutely on show yesterday when the head of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police addressed the opening ceremony. And he could not have spoken more objectively or more glowingly about the work that has been done here. And he recognized that what is happening is because there is not only, or rather what he recognized is that what is happening could only have taken place if you had the commitment to transformation at every level of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. So rank and file straight up the command stream as to transform the strategic leadership of the force. And it could not also have happened without the requisite policy directives and the investment that this government has provided.
You're listening, of course, to a paid political broadcast of a debate in the Senate on Friday. We just heard from Government Senate Leader Kamina Johnson-Smith, who opened the debate. And now we're going to hear from Government Senator Abka Fitz-Henley in his contribution to the Senate, where he responded to criticism by former National Security Minister Peter Bunting of the government's crime-fighting efforts.
I've listened keenly, Mr. President, to the submissions of members of the opposition, including the individual who spoke immediately before me. And to Jamaicans who were born yesterday, they might be excused with thinking that they heard the submissions of a national security expert. But the people of Jamaica should be reminded that the gentleman who pontificates as if he has all the solutions to the issue of violent crime in Jamaica is an individual who, when he had the opportunity to be National Security Minister and murder spiraled, he attended upon a platform and bawled that despite the best efforts of the security forces and the PNP administration, murders continued to spiral. He said the gains were low and slow. I bring to the attention of the Jamaican people that the individual who spoke just now and assumed the countenance of an expert on national security is the same individual who presided over 6% cumulative increase in murders when he had the chance to be the National Security Commander-in-Chief. It's the same individual, sir, who had the indignity of being the first National Security Minister to be the victim of a burglary, as media indicated that he skylarked at Sanson Villa in Portland. Senator Bunting has no credibility to speak on matters of national security. I'd urge the people of Jamaica not to be confused or misled by his pontifications, which will hollow when you recall his track record as a failure when he served as Minister of National Security. Opposition has been suggesting that murders under this current administration, this is the most that the country has seen in terms of the term of any single administration. This is not accurate. The fact is, between 1989, when the PNP came back to power, having inherited a murder rate of 439 in the previous year, over 13,000 Jamaicans were murdered, culminating in 2005, when Jamaica was described as the murder capital of the world. 1,674 Jamaicans cut down.
Statistics won't work here. Don't try it.
The opposition should not be allowed to use statistics to attempt to mislead the people of Jamaica. You know, I refer to an anecdote my former colleague Matthew Samuda had brought to the Parliament of Jamaica. He indicated that Independence Park Limited, which operates the National Stadium, which is a source of national pride, their capacity, their website tells us, is 35,000 people. What, however, is not a source of national pride is that for the past 30 years, between 1994 and 2024, criminals have murdered approximately 38,215 people in Jamaica. So imagine the stadium at full capacity, 35,000, grandstand and bleachers full. Violent criminals in Jamaica have gone beyond that figure in terms of the number of lives they have stuffed out over the past 30 years. 38,215. Not only a sobering statistic and a stain on the collective conscience of us as a nation, but indicative of families, dreams and aspirations torn apart by decisive and irreversible violation of the most important constitutional right, the right to life. The fact is, we live in a society where, across various demographics, there is no regard, no value placed on saving human life. We are a young democratic nation, sir, a nation of laws. And for very long, I've been of the view that Jamaica should send a strong and emphatic message to criminals that we condemn the notion of taking the life of another unlawfully in premeditated circumstances. That murder is not to be tolerated. And if it is committed, criminals must know not only that they will be caught, but the consequences will be sure and far-reaching. It is in this context, sir, that I lend my support to the bills before us, which will increase penalties for the offense of murder under Jamaican law. I'm of the view that the bills appear to be carefully designed to not only send a strong message concerning the posture of the administration towards the act of murder, but they have been properly crafted to be proportionate, constitutional, and to show regard for the rights of all people, including the right to due process and rehabilitation in cases where it is genuinely warranted. My view regarding the proposed harsher punishment for people who murder our nation's children. It is true that the conscience of a society can be best assessed by how it treats society's most vulnerable. I believe that sage postulation lends appropriate context to my support for this particular section of the amendment. It is time to send a clear and strong signal to people who are minded to murder our nation's children. The amendments, of course, are not a panacea to solving the problem of violent crime in Jamaica, but it is part of the process, it's part of the solution, and a signal that the government of Prime Minister Andrew Holness takes very seriously our duty to protect and uphold justice in our country. I began by outlining some statistics which I described as sobering. I wish to say to the people of Jamaica that even as we commend the security forces for their work which has led to a decline in murders, it is important to note that strategic endeavor and policymaking have been key to achieving this positive outcome of a 44% decline in murders. I've seen the Prime Minister and the Security Minister at work, doing the painstaking research, calling the stakeholders together, crafting Plan Secure Jamaica, a plan to deal with violent crime, the first comprehensive plan of its nature, tabled in the Parliament of Jamaica. Therefore, when the opposition spokesman, who for many years deceptively suggested that there is no anti-crime plan in existence, when he says that the security forces deserve credit for the decline in violent crime, but no credit is to be ascribed to the administration, that is the most barefaced bit of intellectual dishonesty that I've seen in a very, very long time. Senator Sinclair spoke about the steps taken by this administration, investment we have made, over $80 billion invested in national security, compared to $28 billion by the former administration. Senator Sinclair mentioned a number of the steps taken. I won't go over them. But, a couple of them: significant expansion in the numbers of the security forces, technology, amending the Anti-Gang Law, the Firearms Act, preparedness to use states of public emergency, investment of billions in protecting the nation's borders, improvement of the working conditions of the police. And importantly, this administration has been clear in indicating that we strongly support the security forces to defend themselves lawfully when they are confronted by gunmen. I note an inconsistent approach taken by the opposition to this business of the decline in murders. A few days ago, and today I heard the opposition spokesman on security purporting to congratulate the security forces. Indeed, he did so today. This is the same opposition spokesman who in January of 2025, January 5, 2025, penned an article entitled Restoring Order, Building Peace, where he said, concerns persist about the accuracy of the JCF statistics, particularly allegations of suppressed murder totals. Quite unfortunate. But today he proposes to congratulate the security forces. I trust that the people of Jamaica and the hard-working men and women of the security forces will recognize the opposition spokesman's hypocrisy for what it is. Not too long ago, he was suggesting that the crime statistics, the murder statistics were suppressed. And I just read the quote into the record. I say to the opposition spokesman, shame on you for calling into question the professional integrity of the men and women of the JCF. Shame on you. Quite frankly, sir, I was disappointed that the opposition spokesman did not use his contribution to the Senate today to apologize to the hard-working men and women of the JCF and the JDF, whose hard work he ostensibly dissed for political mileage. He should apologize to the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for attempting to pour cold water on the gains made in the fight against crime. As I reiterate my support for the amendments which are before us today, sir, which seek to send a strong message to criminals that this administration is fully committed to bringing an end to their days of parading the streets and stuffing up the lives of Jamaicans, I conclude with a message to the Jamaican people. Continuity is important. Let us not forget that when the opposition spokesman on security and the opposition spokesman on justice, who now aspire to lead Jamaica today, had their chance, they presided over a cumulative increase in murders after inheriting a downward trend. Let us not forget that when times got hot in the kitchen, the same opposition spokesman who wants to lead the security portfolio now, he went on a platform, his voice cracked, he appeared on the verge of weeping, and he lamented that the statistics were low and slow, despite the best efforts of the security forces and the PNP administration, which he suggested was not enough. The choice, my fellow Jamaicans, is clear. The weak leadership, 6% murder spike, and generally poor outcomes of Peter Bunting and Mark Golding during their last term. The choice, my fellow Jamaicans, is clear. The weak leadership offered by Bunting and Golding, who presided over a 6% increase in murders, or the carefully crafted current strategies and a 44% decline in murders presided over by Dr. Andrew Holness and National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chan. Quite frankly, sir, I believe it's evident, and there is no need to go back to weak leadership and poor outcomes which dogged the Bunting and Golding era. I'm confident that this is an important year of decision-making. The people of Jamaica will look at the policies put in place, take note of the communities which feel safer, examine carefully the lives saved, and stick with the administration of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The bill, sir, have my support. Thank you.
You're listening, of course, to Nationwide 90 FM. It is, of course, Friday evening. It's 7:06 p.m. here in Kingston, Jamaica. And you just heard from Government Senator Abka Fitzhenley in his contribution to the debate. And you're listening to a paid political broadcast of this debate in the Senate on Friday today. Senator Charles Sinclair also contributed to the debate.
Mr. President, positive results and improved statistics count for something. The travel advisory has been relaxed. So that is an improvement because of the improvements made by this administration. This increases the country's opportunity at attracting more visitors and investors. More importantly, a peaceful society, Mr. President, will guarantee a more productive society. Over the past years, this administration has done several things which has in a sustainable way, and I want to use that term. What we do is for sustainability. We don't do it for the hype. We don't do it to just put a plaster or band-aid over things. We do it to ensure that what we do will have sustainable effect. And we have brought about a year-on-year reduction in crime to include murder. Mr. President, the approach of this administration is to ensure that beyond this Minister of National Security, beyond this Commissioner of Police, beyond this particular administration, we will continue to have a sustained success in reducing crime. We believe Jamaicans must have a greater sense of safety, peace, and prosperity. What has this administration done, Mr. President? You know, when I came to the Senate, Senator Knight, KD Knight, made a comment, and I was lost in it because he came up with a catchphrase. And catchphrase sometimes take root and take on some life that it should not have. He asked, where's the crime plan? And I said from that time that we had a crime plan, or not even a crime plan, better yet, an anti-crime plan, because that is what we need. And that anti-crime plan strategy was in Plan Secure Jamaica, a plan which effectively being implemented. It has continued to produce, and it has shown that we can bring about a sustained reduction in major crime. So there was, and we continue to implement this Plan Secure Jamaica. Mr. President, we strategically use the states of public emergency. And in every division where the strategy was used, resulted in major reduction in crime. The administration faced opposition from the present opposition as they needed a topic on which to campaign. And accordingly, they withdrew their support. They took the matter to court, as is their right. And Mr. President, whilst we must all respect the court's ruling, I do not agree with it. And hence, I strongly support the administration's express intention to appeal the decision. Mr. President, as a resident of St. James between 2012 to 2016, we saw a steady year-on-year increase in murder. And not only just murder, the murders, how they were done were so bizarre. Out in the public, in broad daylight, it's as if persons had no regard for life. Mr. President, the incidents include multiple fatalities in the public space. As I said, whether it was day or night. Multiple rounds were fired in any one incident. Minister Bunting had no answer. He used curfews. He used detentions for processing. That in itself was an abuse, you know, because I said they take up people to process them. But he thought that that was necessary, but nothing seemed to have worked. Mr. President, it never worked because law enforcement at that time was underfunded. Mr. President, murder in St. James climbed to 349 in 1 year. And in the first year of the state of emergency, it went down to 101. From 349 murders in 1 year, and we run a full year of state of emergency in the parish of St. James. 101 persons were murdered. Now that is way too many. The records will, however, confirm, Mr. President, that on average, across each police division where there was a state of public emergency imposed, you would have a 62% reduction in violent crimes following the SOE compared to the same period in the same divisions. Across crime types, you had 56% reduction in murders, 58% reduction in shootings, 18% reduction in aggravated assaults, and 41% reduction in robberies. Mr. President, a great man once said, a man has to do what a man has to do. You know who that person is, Mr. President? You know who that person is? The Honorable Edward Philip George Seag. This administration used SOEs strategically and with success. And we will not apologize to he, she, or the old lady for saving the lives of Jamaicans. Mr. President, we implemented the zones of special operations, which brought about a reduction in crime in specific communities, coupled with infrastructure development, human capacity development, using the clear hold and build strategy. I know, and leader of government business said it, the result is 79% reduction in murder across various states, zones of special operations. But I just want to point out where I come from in St. James. We have had over 20 months of no murder because of a zone of special operations. That is in Norwood. Norwood. No murder in Norwood. Look from where they are coming from. Norwood was a place where persons had fear of going. Let us look on Mount Salem. And interestingly, that was the first Zozo in Jamaica. And when it was launched, Mr. Bunting went down here and asking the question, why? And criticizing the Zozo. Why? Well, Mount Salem has seen tremendous improvement, not only in the saving of lives, but the building out of the infrastructure and the human capacity in that area. We have expanded the human resource and training in the JDF and the JCF. Mr. President, in the JCF, we have moved the cohort from being what it was about 9,000 or thereabout to 14,000. So we have increased the establishment. And in the JDF, from 4,000 to 8,000, we have put more boots on the ground, Mr. President. And this is coupled with training, human capacity building, and a greater motivation that has borne the results that we now see. Mr. President, we have improved the technology tools and equipment, including procurement of over 2,000 new vehicles for the Jamaica Constabulary Force. We have made them a more effective crime-fighting force. And as the Honorable Prime Minister said, if you commit the offense, we will find you, Mr. President. We will find you. And, Mr. President, we have improved national CCTV surveillance network under the Jamaica Eye, monitoring public spaces with 1,200 cameras, and that will operate as a deterrent to criminal activity. We have improved and built new police stations across the country, with more to come. So when you look across Mount Salem, Anchovy, Frome, Olympic Gardens, La Covia, Buff Bay, Fort Antonia, Mr. President, all new police stations have been constructed and we have improved them, ensuring, Mr. President, that our men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force have good working conditions from which to operate. And in Savannah Mar, Mr. President, it is expected that that station, in fact, if you go to the Savannah Mar police station now, if you want to change your mind, if you can get into the building, you have to come outside to change your mind. Well, this administration is ensuring that Savannah Mar gets a new HQ for the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And Mr. President, we must recognize the opening of the new pathology autopsy suite, which will guarantee swifter postmortems and will contribute to hearings of cases and improve the investigations. This island has been without such a suite from the 1970s. This administration is doing right for a sustainable reduction of murder and criminal activity.
And you just heard there from Senator Charles Sinclair, who contributed to this paid political broadcast that we are listening to of the debate in the Senate on Friday. And we are going to now continue this discussion by hearing from Senator Marlon Morgan, who also contributed to this debate.
When I note the observations from the members opposite and the overarching suggestion and the view that we should essentially leave the business of sentencing to jurists and not go the route as legislators to legislate mandatory sentences. You get the impression, Mr. President, that there is no mischief to be corrected, no gap or deficiency to be addressed. And I wish to submit at the very outset that that is not the case. We have a mischief to correct. We have mischief to address, because the truth is, for us on this side, we place a premium on the democracy within which we operate, and we are guided by the sentiments of the public. We note, we hear the frustration of the public, and we are Democrats at heart, and we seek to respond appropriately, utilizing the tools as government side legislators at our disposal, Mr. President, and we are unequivocal and unapologetic in that regard. Why do I start here? Mr. President, Giovanni Ellis, the person who was identified as a person of interest in the brutal rape, murder, and stuffing in a barrel of young Kelsey Cassidy Ferragon in Central St. Catherine, is a gentleman who was before the courts before, is a gentleman who had come into conflict with the law before. And the sentiment of the Jamaican people in the case of Giovanni Ellis, as has been the case in other instances where people have been let out back on the streets of Jamaica, and it is in the view and estimation of the Jamaican people that the punishment they got, the number of years to which they were sentenced by our criminal justice system, was insufficient relative to the crime for which they were convicted. That is what the government is responding to, in part, by way of these amendments before us. Yes? So to be very clear, Mr. President, it is important as a nation of laws and institutions, not of men. It is important, given our fine democratic traditions, for us to take note as legislators of the sentiments, the frustrations, and of course, the pleadings of the Jamaican people, and have those situated in what we come here to do. And so, Mr. President, as set out in this piece of legislation, the Offences Against the Person Act, and of course, the attendant Criminal Justice Administration Act, the proposed increase in the minimum mandatory sentences, yes, reflects responsiveness on the part of the government to a most vexing issue. Mr. President, the foremost duty and responsibility of a government is the safety and security of its citizens. While Senator Peter Bunting abdicated, when he served as National Security Minister, threw his proverbial hands in the air, bawled, and called for divine intervention, and quite frankly, nothing is wrong with invoking, yes, faith-based underpinnings and beliefs. But that must be paired, Mr. President, with tangible and intentional action on the part of policymakers and actors to whom state power is entrusted. You don't have the luxury of abdicating. And on this side, we are not in the business of abdicating. We are not in the business of throwing in the towel. And so we will pursue the marauding gunmen and the menacing criminals in our society. And we will ensure that the toughest and strongest penalties are meted out to them. Mr. President, some years ago, there was a conscience vote in this Parliament. And so for those who would seek to castigate former National Security Minister Montague for his perspective on the matter of the death penalty, they can go that route. Yes? But what is not to be overlooked, Mr. President, is that by virtue of the investments and the hard work that has been undertaken by this Andrew Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party government, we are at a point at present when all the critical elements have come together, where there is greater certainty of punishment. And so for us, we are not only about the severity of punishment, because we are very mindful of the dynamics of the correctional services and of our penal system. Yes, persons are sentenced as part of the sanctions for having committed themselves, having committed offenses, and they undergo a period of incarceration in many instances, but they go to jail or to prison rather as punishment, not for punishment, as punishment. But what we have managed to do over these past 9.5 years, Mr. President, is to get to a point of greater certainty in punishing offenders. There is no hiding place. And as I said sort of earlier, not even at a villa in Portland, there is hiding place nowadays. And we are unequivocal in that regard. We're pursuing the criminals. We have brought all the critical elements together. And that is why we are where we are at present. In terms of persons who make a determination to commit crime, they best understand and believe that the days of doing so and committing crimes with impunity are long gone. Those days are now, Mr. President, in the rearview mirror where Jamaica is concerned. We are, Mr. President, at a historical and epochal point. The investments in and the provision of the human, financial, infrastructural, strategic and tactical assets, as well as the legislative resources in this country, have been unprecedented under this government. Never before have we seen the investments in the human resources of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in the history of Jamaica in the way we have invested in them in this iteration. Never before have we seen the investments, the financial resource investments in the Constabulary Force and in crime fighting in general here in Jamaica as we are seeing in this dispensation, Mr. President. You would have heard Senator Sinclair earlier outlining some of the police stations that have since been rehabilitated and some have been newly built. Yes? Not least the one at Olympic Gardens, not least the one at Froome in Westmoreland, and several others around the country, including Shady Grove up in Senator Crawford's, where he's aspiring to be Member of Parliament, up in St. Catherine, Northwestern. So just to be very clear, Mr. President, all of these investments taken together have resulted in the architecture and the crime-fighting apparatus that we have at present.
And you just heard there from Senator Marlon Morgan as a part of the paid political broadcast of a debate in the Senate where government lawmakers expressed strong support for 3 bills which will significantly increase the punishment for convicted murderers. Of course, that's in Nation's Business. That's just concluded here on Nationwide at 5. We're going to take a break and come right back. Stay with us.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A National Junior and Senior Championships, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. The biggest names in local track and field, with the men's section including the likes of Olympic silver medalist Shane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, Antonio Watson, Christopher Taylor, Rashid Broadbent, Olympic champion Roger Stoner, Rajendra Campbell, Wayne Pinna, and Romaine Beckford. The female division will be no less fascinating with 2-time reigning world champion Sharika Jackson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, the Clayton Twins, Tia and Tina, Alana Reed, Akira Nugent, Rochelle Clayton, and Shanika Ricketts. The action will be sizzling.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Fosrich has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Fosrich Lifestyle. It's electric. Fosrich, your energy world.
Welcome back Nationwide at 5, and it's 7:30 p.m. here on a Friday evening. I'm Donna Hope, and my co-host Ricardo Brooks will join us shortly, and we're going to go into a discussion now about a democracy forum that will be taking place via CARIMAC at the University of the West Indies and Southern Oregon University collaborating on a forum that will close out the 50th anniversary celebrations on media and democracy. The forum will take, of course, the form of a panel discussion under the theme Democracy in the Digital Age, Challenges and Opportunities for Jamaica's Media Landscape. And it will feature faculty from both the Faculty of Social Sciences and Southern Oregon University, as well as members of our local journalism fraternity. This forum is open to university students from various disciplines, student organizations who are focused on media, politics, or social issues, faculty members and researchers who are interested in media and democracy, media and communication practitioners across all disciplines, and educators and policymakers interested in and involved in the promotion of democracy and youth development. Joining us, of course, to tell us more about the forum is the director of CARIMAC at the University of West Indies Mona campus, my colleague, Dr. Patrick Prendergast. Good evening, Dr. Prendergast. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, and thanks for having me, Prof.
Indeed. And of course, that sounds like a very exciting forum coming up. Can you tell us, of course, what is the primary objective of this forum and give us an idea of why is it so important that people attend?
Oh, sure. Well, the forum is actually designed to deepen the discussion on the intersection of media and democracy. You know, this is a time when we're seeing so much more free form and open content generation, and of course, open information sharing. So I think we need to get to that point where we're even more critical about how media shape our civic spaces. And of course, especially among the young people who are very much part of this new digital age, and how we can use this space to influence the democratic conversations, dialogue, processes in a much more constructive and positive way. The goal really is to encourage exchange. Right now, the partnership with the Southern Oregon University, and in particular the Honors College, they are bringing to some students to Jamaica, and right now, as we're everything that we're seeing, it's kind of an opportunity for us to share, to experience have them experience what is going on in our space, and also to hear what's happening in their space. So the partnership really, I mean, there are two parts to it, Prof.
Yes.
The first for us really is that the SOU has this democracy project, where, as I say, the students study democracy in action worldwide. And this year they're in Jamaica. So with everything that is happening, I think for them, Jamaica presents a kind of a rich case study. But through CARIMAC and the UE in particular, we think the students could also be engaged in meaningful dialogue with the local experts, including our practicing journalists, and in the communities. And then the second part of that is that, as you know,
yes.
and you would know, CARIMAC has been celebrating 50 years since its
50 years, like KFC, but differently. Yes.
And of course, part of that 50 year really would, as part of the what we call the premier higher education, training and education in media institution, we would have been pivotal in shaping media thought and practice in the region. So what this partnership with Honors College does then is to bring that global lens to the work that we have been doing, and to the current conversation we need to have about trust, about misinformation, about disinformation, and of course, sometimes what we're seeing is a civic disengagement that it's clearly not healthy. So that's the other part to this. It's not unique to us, what is happening in the social media.
The kind of heavy engagement with social media and challenges with what is going out. I've seen some very interesting things, for example, this past week in the social media space regarding our own democratic process and the timeline that we are in, because we are in the middle of the electioneering right now.
Right now,
yes.
Right. And I mean, what we're seeing is as this goes on, you're seeing all kinds of responses to what is false, what is fake, what is deliberate misinformation. But it can be just a matter of people defending what they're hearing or defending what's being said against them. I think what we need to do is to have a deeper conversation about how do we critically analyze what's happening. I think that's a big part of what we want to have in this forum.
So my co-host Ricardo Brooks has joined us, and
Good evening, Dr. Prendergast.
Yes, and Ricardo, this is because I'm looking at the poster for the collaborative seminar that will be coming on stream. It's the 25th of June.
Yes.
And we have individuals from our local media fraternity, including our own George Davis,
Yes.
who will be a part of it. And I think that the conversation about how we navigate and we critically analyze what is being put in front of us in the media space, social media, legacy media, and the kind of engagement that young people, not so young people, Gen Z, Gen X, Blue, all of these generations have, is something that this forum can help maybe to give some prods towards how do we try to ensure that we get the good information that may be there and we are able to reflect on the bad information, Ricardo.
Here's what I'm interested in, Dr.
Yes.
Prendergast.
Yes.
The link insofar as you think there is one between media bias and civic engagement.
So here's the thing, because throughout our history, there's always been some kind of, let's call it, talk about what's the relationship between what's happening in media. Yes. And I think at a point at which, certainly in our case, where we have moved beyond state control to a much more privatized and free and open media space, that talk, the freer we become, the more open we become, it's the more likely for you to hear talk about where media may or may not be biased in the way they treat with issues. So in any case, we have always operated in a mediated space. We've always operated in a space where there is agenda that we have to that people talk about. You would know about the whole thing of agenda setting and how we use media and all
and
of
the
that.
kind of users that we have
And
moving,
the kind of
and how users are able to. Now we are in an era, we have moved beyond the empowered users, and we are now in an era where the users are creators. So it's a very different era from where we started. Yes,
Right. And so I suppose I'd want to ask both you, Dr. Prendergast, and also you, Professor Hope. When we talk about agenda setting, are we talking about legacy media or now the pervasive influence of social media? Who is now setting the agenda?
Well, here's the thing for me, I often make posts to say the agenda setting is still real. And gatekeeping, for that matter, is still real. So what you have now is an opportunity for more people to be engaged in content creation.
Yes.
For more people to be engaged in information dissemination. So that it's not. I think what traditional media are facing would be really just the challenge to stay true to the principles that we know would ensure that there is objectivity in the way people see things and hear things, that there is credibility in the way things are presented, and that people are getting information from which can make informed decisions.
But Dr. Prendergast, but you see, Dr. Prendergast and Ricardo, I think also that you have to, because one of the challenges that is facing us now in this kind of media landscape is that there was a time when we only had access to legacy media, and people say, if it's in the Gleaner, it is true.
Yes.
If it's on the radio, it is true.
Yes.
But now, because you have so many competing media forms and personalities that people are aligned to, it complicates what people will see as the agendas and who is setting the agendas, and people are more willing to question the veracity, the truth behind a piece of information on social media, but also in the traditional legacy media houses. So this is why we want to ensure that people are given the tools, and I think this forum will help them, the tools, Ricardo, to sort of critically analyze what is this really something that are they saying what they're saying on the front of it. So I see press releases coming out, and I see people doing things, and I know based on my own training, I have a first degree from Carmack, worked in the media in different ways for many years, that it is not really about what they put on the forefront. It's more about shifting people's minds in a particular direction about a political party or a group of people, not an individual that they're focusing on. So the critical analysis part of it is, why is this happening and why is this being said? Is it on the front of it because we want to say the grass is green or the grass is pink? Or is it that we are trying to say people who plant grass, are bad people or good people? That's really how it works.
And that's so important to know, Prof, because you would hope that people are more willing to question, and that's what we want to engage. We want to make sure that people are prepared to question.
Right. But Dr. Prendergast, have we, just to pick up on the point Professor Hope was making, have we done enough, I don't know whether it's in academia or just society writ large, to ensure that the kind of media literacy that I think Prof is talking about is widespread in the society? Because I don't think so. No. It almost seems that without having done that, we expect them to be able to do the kind of discerning that we're talking about.
Exactly, and I mean, I don't know that we have done enough, but I think we see that certainly at CARIMAC as part of our responsibility to help build out this media literacy ecosystem, I love to call it, right across the board from the primary schools all the way up to the universities. What you're saying is that because you don't want to assume that people truly understand what this is about without putting in place the support, creating the opportunities for them to participate in the activities that will help to build those critical skills, that will help to develop their sense of, to say what is true, what is not. So you're right. I mean, there is much more that we need to do, and that's exactly, I'm very happy that this is what we're choosing to round out our 50th anniversary, because it is part of building out that media literacy ecosystem that I talk about.
Yeah. So democracy in the digital age, challenges and opportunities for Jamaica's media landscape, June 25th at 10 a.m. Tell us about the speakers. Who are the speakers and how do people access it? Virtual, face-to-face, where do they go? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, it's going to be at the Faculty of Social Sciences lecture theatre. And as you said, we start at 10. We'll run for about, 90 minutes up to 2 hours or so. Dr. Michelle Monroe, who is the head of the Political Science Unit in the Department of Government, will be one of the speakers. Then from the Southern Oregon University, we have Dr. Mark Shibley. He's a professor emeritus in sociology and environmental studies. And then, as you mentioned, your very own George Davis, he will actually be leading us off in that discussion with and the president of the Press Association of Jamaica, Mr. Dashan Hendricks. So we have the academic side and we have the professionals in practice side of it, and it will also we have a really, really very good moderator, Mrs. Helene Colin Nicholson, who many of us know as a long-standing practitioner in media, but an attorney at law in her own right.
Free and open to the public.
Free and open to the public. Come along over to the SSLT, as we love to call it, and engage. We'll have different ways in which people can engage. Right now, we are not going for a live stream. So we really need to have people come into the space.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Prendergast, and all the best to the forum. I'll try to pass by and see what's happening. As a CARIMAC alumni and also a member of the university and former Department of Government and,
Prof,
working in, is that something I do?
Prof, it's nice. It's nice to be able to ask Dr. Prendergast the questions on this side of the mic. He's my head of department. So he's usually asking me the questions. So it's good to be able to ask him.
It's a CARIMAC thing. Caribbean School of Media. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Prendergast.
Thank you, Dr. Prendergast.
And you and I need to talk more on other matters, but we will talk. Indeed. Take good care. Thank you so much indeed.
We take the break, and then after the break, we'll take your call 630-937-124, 618-8255.
Is Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
We're back with you. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope. Welcome
Roy,
back.
you are up first. Good evening.
Yeah, Ricardo, and Prof.
Yes. Hi, Roy. Good, yes.
Yeah, you know, because I'm at Mr. Canelo. Every day I get up, I listen for your breaking news for Nationwide. Say, them find out the girl who then kidnapped. I never see one thing when I feel it, Pastor, me I tell you, Ricardo.
Which one of the girls?
The Labour right girl who then kidnapped.
The party worker in
the party worker in Southeast St.
God almighty, man, them the gone there.
Yeah, the video sent chills through me when I saw it.
We say, Ricardo, I feel, you know, man.
I think they have a reward out now, you know.
Yes, the Labour Party is
offering
offering
put out a $3 million. Yes, I saw that.
They say, could cash those dirty hooligans, man, and burn them. Yeah, I tell you, man. You know, because this investigation with this Moko business, Ricardo and Prof. It's over.
Which
Moko business? Which Moko business?
Which investigation?
Ricardo?
Which investigation?
Which one?
The investigation in the Kingston Parish Council, man, and the one at Punish Town.
Well,
the police come out and tell people.
Well, as far as I know about the KSAMC, our understanding is that a statement has been given and a file has been opened. We haven't gotten any updates further. And the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, they had made a series of arrests, is my recollection.
Yes. Several arrests.
Right. But we haven't heard anything else. But you have to remember, you know, an agency like MOCA, the kind of work that it needs to do, it can't just constantly be giving updates, because a lot of the work is probably going to be painstaking. You have to put the pieces together, and it's sensitive, right?
Yes, and criminals listen to updates.
So I would rather them do the work, and then when they are ready to proceed in terms of arrest, if indeed an arrest is warranted, then they do that, rather than the constant updates.
Let's give it a little bit more time.
In the further round, Prof. Ricardo, we might soon have breaking news nationwide.
We hope.
As soon as we have something to break, we will. But there is no indication. There is no indication as to whether MOCA is.
Nationwide is the number one station, you know, brother. There is nothing we go on Nationwide to pick up that, you know, and it's a balanced station.
Well, thank you for that. But as again, once they have something, I'm sure they will release it. And once we know something, you will know.
That girl who lost in kids.
Agreed.
Who died? The jail people or Nikki.
Agreed.
Now hope and pray, Ricardo.
All right, Roy.
Yeah, and the third term Lord, you know.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, man.
I hear you. Careful that you're not too complacent, you know.
All right, Roy, take care. Good to hear from you.
Omalo.
Hi, Omalo. Happy Friday.
Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Ricardo.
Good evening, Omalo.
Good evening, yes.
You know, Ricardo, I'm going to say something that leads into something.
Yeah?
And you were talking about democracy a while ago on the media and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I think what is described as democracy in the West is a short selling of the real, what democracy is the real purpose of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what is being sold is in the interest of those who are in control, and it really benefits them. Why I say so? Let me tell you. Democracy is sold in the West as people have the right to vote for their leader. A smooth transfer of power, and people have the right to say whatever they want, how they want to express themselves. But there is something fundamental and more important to me than even all of these things. The people's voice being legislated in parliament or whatever else there is within the framework of the Constitution and put in the law what the people want, what the people's desires are. And this is not being done.
In what way?
We could go and ask, and this lead me right over to this now, Ricardo. It lead me over to listening to Parliament today, where Jamaicans over years upon years been asking for tougher sentences. Jamaicans even go as far as to ask back for the death sentence because of what is happening within their society. And we see and watch in an election year that the People's National Party never even have the guts to say, let us even do it in a sham and vote on this bill, giving the Jamaican people what they have referred, what they have asked for in a democratic society.
But isn't it, my understanding is that they did vote for the bills, the amendments today, didn't they?
Didn't they? That's
my understanding.
That
they vote for the amendment. I thought I heard they never object.
Right. It was unanimously passed.
But they never object. So is it
no, meaning no, man. They did raise their objections, but ultimately they did vote for it.
Right,
That's
they
my
didn't vote against it.
Right. That's my understanding.
Ultimately, they vote for the bill.
That's my understanding. Yes, I stand to be corrected, but that's my understanding.
The bill was passed.
Yes.
However, yes,
I know the bill was passed. But I don't know if they voted for the bill. You get your producer to.
No, my understanding from our parliamentary reporter is that they did vote for the bill.
Okay, they vote for the bill.
Yes, I think he said it was unanimously passed.
I definitely take it back. At least they're contributing to what the people want. Although,
but you do raise a valid point, and it's interesting that you raise this one because Prof and I during the break we're talking about power.
Yes.
And where power rests in a democracy. And Prof, I'd love to hear you on that because Omala's point is valid. If the people want something, what latitude do the elected representatives have, you think, to reject that view and substitute their own view?
Remember, Ricardo, when we talk about democracy, people have this kind of love affair with the idea that they must crash here. Everybody has a say. But if they go back to the Greek system that they're talking about in Athens, it was a very qualified notion of democracy. So the Greek state, Athens, we use as the basis. Only certain people had the right to participate. Free-born Greek males over a certain age. So no women participated. Young men under a certain age didn't participate. And all the slaves, which are not just like Africans, they were, people that were coming in and out, were not able to participate. So that mandate was not 100% available to everybody, even in that place that they talk about. It was very qualified. And so because of that, and that's a very small place, in societies like ours, we have had to set up systems that administer the democracy because of the weight of it. Imagine we do a referendum every time we want to pass something. We would never get any work done. So we give up the mandate to a group of people based on majority. And they do things hopefully on behalf of us, and we want them to come together.
But that's Omalo's point. He's saying he doesn't think the parliament is representing properly the views.
But the thing is, that is the best that they have been able to do in societies like ours, and different versions of the democracy.
I don't think so, Doc. I don't think so.
Omalo,
is democracy the will of the people?
Well, the people have the right to ensure that they put in place the persons that they want on their behalf. But remember, our type of democracy is first past the post. It means that if you vote towards a party and it wins, your vote is counted. But if you don't vote at all, your vote is also counted. No vote means that somebody gets another mark up on this. So there's a way that democracy works, you know. But that's the best they can do. That's the best they do. We could have a different type of government, you know, where we
have put in a constitution to guide our politicians that when the majority rule, they don't oppress the minority.
But that is
why we have a constitution, you know, to protect the democracy.
So, Marlo, what do you think? So, what do you think is a better system? What do you think is a better system to get the ideas of the minority? Because again, we have always had these debates.
It's not that the constitution is there to get an objective that please all, you know. But what we are saying is that when the people of Jamaica ask for something, we keep going back and forth to Parliament again, asking for the same thing without they going to Parliament and using the constitution.
But we have to go through the process.
But
it's a process. It's always a process. It's a process.
I hear you. And so I suppose my question would be, in line with what Prof said, would you rather a system where we'd constantly need to have referenda? Because
very expensive.
I think that would be the only way you could have that sort of direct expectation that you have.
One of the things that I would love to see, and this is something that I would really love to see, and it sparked my thought based on the marijuana law in Jamaica. For years, we could have been a front runner in marijuana. One of the things that I would love to see is that on every election day, the general election in Jamaica, there is a referendum put forward by the people of Jamaica as to the direction of this country, and we vote on it, and then they put it in Parliament and put it within.
But in a sense,
we have to bring another call in, Ricardo.
Last point, Omalo. But in a sense, isn't that what happens? A political party puts forward a manifesto, and conceivably you vote for those ideas.
We have to bring in Amalo. We have to give another person a chance to contribute. We're out of time.
When we vote on a referendum, Ricardo, the referendum is law. So they have to go and address that direct referendum and give us what we want.
All right, so Omalo.
Direct
we can't afford to have referenda for everything. Our country, no country can afford that. It is like having a general election every time you want something done.
It sounds like what he's proposing is a slate of issues put to the voters during the elections,
right? And that's a but it has to be a part of that kind of structure. Let's take another call quickly before we can't take any more. Oh, we have to wrap up. Callers, I know YouTubers, we tried, but we have to wrap up because we have so many issues. But you can't have a constant referenda around policies because it becomes unwieldy in countries that are like the size of ours. That's a challenge we are having.
With constant referenda is that voters have been proven not to always stick to the issues.
No, because if it's put to the election, but if it's put in an election period, and that happened with the federation issue, you're not really voting for the issue, you're voting towards the way your party thinks about it. It impacts on it. So there have been a lot of work done, and that's a challenge.
Bugs,
yes.
Play for me that song by Sasko, no? I think it's called Caterpillar. The one with his daughter.
That's for the students?
Yes.
Yes, let's pay for the PEP students and the parents. Yes.
Again, congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations to all the peppers, and I see people in the YouTube bigging up the PEP students and the teachers, big up everybody, all the teachers, everyone, and big up yourselves.
So this song is for the Peps. I like to call them the Pepsters.
And all the old-time common entrance. The common entrance people in the YouTube, we're bigging up ourselves.
And for the common entrance people too. And of course,
and the G-Satters.
The G-Satters.
Yes, big up ourselves.
Books
all right.
Can't believe that common entrance with bro. Yo, bro. That's crazy. Here's a song for the Pep students.
You too were born to fly.
I was born with everything I need to be me, with wings inside my mind to set me free. I know I've got vision more than my eyes can see, and I know I rule my destiny. So no matter how hard you try, no, you can never change my mind. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can I.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. for our live broadcast of the St. Andrew